Hello, my name's Jackson, and we are live at the AGM. We're in the marketplace, and I'm looking forward to showing you around and just giving a bit of a feel as to what is happening today. I've been asked to do this. It's not my normal job. I'm actually an area manager for the co-op, which I really enjoy. And today is all about just speaking to some colleagues, giving you a bit of a feel as to what's happening, and let's see where we get to. So come and have a look. Now we have a bit of food here. We've got a nice cake. Back in 2019, I actually did the AGM. I did something like this, and something happened that scarred me. I actually took a cake, and I was about to eat it, and the cameraman, as he's just done now, took it off me, and I didn't get that cake, but never mind. But this looks great. We've got the co-op man there, bit of gingerbread, all our fair trade products, showing it off to our members, and also our new stir fry range as well. That's gone live over the past 2 weeks, and it's really, really nice. Customers are really enjoying it. But follow me. Enough of that now. Enough of food. I don't need any more food. Let's have a look over here. We've got more food, actually. This is the kind of food that I like. Oh, I'll have that. That's mine. Thank you very much. I'll get that in my pocket. We've got our free from products as well here. We've got our grow range again. We've invested in that, making sure it's affordable for customers and pushing those products. If you'd like to follow me then, we're going to be speaking to a couple of our colleagues today. Now, you might know a few of them, you may not, but I have a feeling that the first person we're going to be speaking to, you may know. But let's see if we can find them. Yes, I think if we look over there, we might be able to see Shireen. So let's go and speak to Shireen. Let's see how she is doing today. Hi, Shireen. Hello, Shireen. Thank you for joining us live. How are you feeling today? Obviously, this is your first AGM as the interim CEO.
Yes. Look, I'm really, really excited, Jackson, to be here. It's my first one live, actually, since I've joined the co-op. You know, the first time I was in a live event, I hadn't even joined yet.
Well, you know, live, being in front of members, you know, there's probably nothing better. Now, the AGM is a members event. How important are members to the co-op?
I mean, they're incredibly important, aren't they? We're not a co-op without our members. Business they do with us, in terms of how they promote the co-op, in terms of how they go out into our communities, how they engage with us. So the most important thing we've got, actually.
And what are you most looking forward to today?
You know, we're doing this AGM in a way where I'm not doing all the talking, which is the best thing. So I was really, really keen that everyone heard from the people who are actually doing the great things for the co-op. So you'll be hearing a lot from other people and not me. So I'm really excited about that.
Well, I'm sure we're looking forward to hearing from you as well. Now, Shireen, I want you to forget that the camera's there, forget that we're live and probably broadcasting across the world. Between you and me, is there any spoilers that you can share with me?
Now, I've been told I'm not allowed to do this, right? So it's really important that everyone sees and hears everything at the same time. So no spoilers, but we will have some surprises in there. That's all I can tell you.
Well, it was worth a try, Shireen. Thank you for joining us, and very best of luck today. Right, follow me. Let's go and have a look around. We're going to be speaking to Malia and Helen from the membership and the community team. But before we do that, let's have a look at some of the stalls. As you can see, we've got stalls across the marketplace, talking to members about all the good stuff that co-op is doing. But let's see what's happening at this stall. We might have to interrupt. Let's see if we can get in. Sorry, sir, I'm so sorry. We're just live. Can we just have a look at this franchise? Is that okay? Carl, how are you getting on today?
Yeah, really good. We're just sharing some of our franchise proposition with members. So it's the chance to own and operate your own co-op store. So we've got 40 at the moment, 10 in universities. So yeah, just spreading the word of the good stuff that we're doing in co-op franchise.
Carl, thank you very much. Obviously, franchise is a really important part of our business now, and great that we are promoting it. Come and follow me. Let's have a quick outside. Oh, my regional team's here. They didn't want me to say hello to them, but I'm going to anyway. They're going to kill me. How are you getting on today?
Yeah, very good.
Very good, thanks, Jack.
You're enjoying yourself. They're gonna hate me for that. Let's have a quick look at what's going on out here. I'm being told by the cameraman we might not have enough signal, but we'll have a look. We've got an ice cream van there. Sadly, it doesn't look like any ice creams are being distributed just yet, but I certainly don't need any more ice creams. So let's go back in and see who we can find. So we're going to be speaking to Malia and Helen. Let's see if we can find Malia and Helen. Here they are. So just over here. Hello, ladies. How are we? Thank you very much for joining us. Malia, we'll just start with you. You're part of the Young Members Group. How's that going? What's it like? I bet our listeners and viewers are interested to hear about that.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So essentially we're a group of young people from all different areas, all different backgrounds, and we just really want to champion the voices of young people for the future generations and essentially cooperate for a fairer world by working on projects with both internal and external colleagues. And if you want to learn more about us, please follow us on Twitter at CYMB.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And Helen, thank you for joining us. Now, I know you work with the community team and you're head of community strategy and engagement for the co-op. How do members make a difference in the co-op? In the communities.
Oh yeah, in the community. Well, members can make a difference simply by shopping at the co-op, so that's the first thing. So every time you're going in and buying our own brand products, you're already making a difference because 2% of that goes to community. But then that means that you can, as a member, choose a local cause in your local area, so something that's really making a difference where you are. At the moment, because of the cost of living crisis, local community groups and causes are really struggling, as well as individuals, to get the funding they need. So that support they get from us is absolutely vital at this time. So if you can go on and choose your cause in your local area, that's absolutely brilliant. And the other way they help is through the Community Partnership Fund, which is where we join together with like-minded organisations to do things like our community fridge network, to do things like support mental well-being initiatives in local communities, and to support young people to have opportunities through things like our peer action collective. So that's where we're helping young people make a difference in their community by taking social action.
Helen, thank you very much for joining us. Now, I can see there's some facts about the co-op here, so why don't we have a look at these. Members saved 8.4 million by using digital offers in 2021. Over 20,000 members joined in and downloaded resources to help us launch our new soft plastics recycling hubs in store. Obviously, I work in stores as well, and they've gone down a treat. And I'll just let you read some of those messages on here. All of these going towards our vision of cooperating for a fair world. Okay, so as you can see, we've got some more stores over here. Just give you a bit of a view as to what's happening. A bit of a co-op vista. Let's have a pan around the room. Let's have a look. Brilliant. So let's just go to another stall over here. We're going to be speaking to Russell. And you know what? We'll go to Russell first. He is heading the Co-op Academies, so I know you'll all be looking forward to hearing about that. Russell, thank you for joining us. I know you head up the Co-op Academies, and I hear it's been going from strength to strength. Can you just tell us a little bit more about them?
Yeah, well, we're absolutely flying right now. I mean, our vision of cooperating for a fairer world really comes to life in the academies. So we're really focusing on giving opportunities to young people. We've got our Co-op Young Business Leaders program, where we've had students working in our support centre in Angel Square, learning about what it is to be a part of a co-op business. We've got our virtual work experience that we are looking to launch in the coming weeks, which is going to give opportunities for kids from across the country within our academies the chance to hear about the world of work. And then other aspects, we've been working with Mind on mental health, mental well-being, because as you can imagine, as part of the recovery from the pandemic, that's a real issue. So being able to tap into Mind's expertise as part of that work has been really vital. And then even on access to food, we've got a community fridge at our Co-op Academy in Failsworth. Loads of really great stuff, and actually we're growing. We've got a new academy that's going to be opening later on in Manchester, just up the road. That'll take us to 30, and that's a really, really great position to be in.
My goodness, 30 co-op academies, and it just feels only a few years ago, we've built them up so quickly.
Absolutely right. And of course, what this is doing is this is changing the lives of young people, being able to go to better schools that make a difference. But actually, there's nothing more important to improving a community than having a good school. And I'm so proud that our co-op academies are really helping to transform some of the most challenged communities in the north of England. So really, really great stuff.
Russell, thank you very much for joining us. Right, let's go and find out what else is happening. Oh, we've got Alan, our chairman, over there. He's just talking to someone, so we will leave him alone. And let's just have a look what's going on over here. I think they may be handing out some things over here. It is quite loud in here, so apologies if I am shouting. But let's see what's happening here. These look like goodies to me. Hello, you all right? We are live. It looks like you're obviously from insurance. What are you giving out today?
Pick and mix sweets. Would you like some?
Do you know what? I would love some. I've already bagged myself some chocolate in my pocket from that other stall. And I guess you guys are talking about insurance today. Has many members been coming up to you?
Yeah, it's been a fantastic morning so far. We've had loads of members coming in. They've been reminiscing about the pick and mix, but they've also been talking about insurance, because one of the things we're trying to get across is our insurance mix, for whether it's car insurance, home insurance, travel now. Everybody can get back out there if they wish to. We've got travel insurance, our over 50s and life cover. And we're also doing business and a new pet product as well, which is going fantastic. So it's been great this morning talking to all of our members about insurance and what we're doing. So it's been good.
Brilliant, thank you for that. Really appreciate that. Now, I'm going to give you back these pick and mix, but please do save me some, or I'll be pretty gutted. But I think, yeah, no, you're not allowed any. You took that cake off me in 2019. Anyway, follow me, and let's go and speak to our member pioneers. So, you may recognize this lady over here. Hello, ladies. We are live. I'm good, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Now, Faye, just starting with you, can you tell our viewers, what is a member pioneer? And is there something that you're proud of that happened in 2021?
Okay, thanks, Jackson. So a member pioneer, we've got 1,000 of them across the UK, so we cover the whole of the country. They have a small number of hours to work out in our communities, and what they do is they bring our colleagues, our local causes that we fund, and all our community networks together to connect, to kind of work together, to cooperate, to make a difference in our communities. So we work on things like access to food, well-being with young people. So it's a brilliant role, and I'm really proud of them all. And I think proud moment, it's so hard to choose one. I've been thinking about this. So I think I love getting out on the ground and seeing the Member Pioneers, which is great. And I think one of the visits I really remember was in Leeds. So I was out with our Member Pioneer, Tasneem, and she was amazing. And she connected with a local group, and just the difference they were making on the ground in that community. There was so much going on. There was allotments. They had goats at the back, right in the middle of the city. It was amazing. And the young people, it was just so dynamic and buzzing. So that was fantastic to see that in action. Yeah.
That sounds incredible, and I know our member pioneers make such a huge difference. Now, who are you with today?
I got with me. So this is Pfizer. So Pfizer is one of our member pioneers in Dunstable. And Pfizer, yeah, do you want to say a bit about what you've been doing?
Yeah, Pfizer, what's it like being a member pioneer?
Being a member pioneer has been an absolutely amazing opportunity to be able to get involved with my community directly and so soon at such a young age. I think so far I've done so much within the last 6 months, especially, for example, with Time to Talk Day that I held with my sixth form, which allowed over 20 of us to gather together and speak about mental health and speak with our psychology teacher as well. So she's offered to speak with anyone at the end if anyone wants to get help with their mental health and whatnot. So it's been an amazing journey, and it's an amazing role.
Thank you so much for sharing that, and we will leave you to it. Enjoy the rest of today. Now, I've just spotted something outside. Hopefully we get signal. This big chair. I might even fit on that, but I'm not going to try it because I won't be able to get up and I'll probably break my back. But we've got a big co-op chair there, and I know that's been at previous AGMs, so something a little bit different. Now, let's go towards the back of the room. Let's show you what's happening. There are more stalls that I'm sure we can speak to. and we've got funeral care also at the back. So let's go and just have a quick look at funeral care, because they've got this amazing coffin here, the rainbow coffin. So I'm sure we can ask a little bit more about that. Let's see who can speak. Hello. Oh, we're losing signal. I'm so sorry. We can't speak to funeral care, but at least if you zoom in over there, you can see it's not come back. Are we back? We are back. Sorry if we lost you. I think I took us too far. But what I was just showing was just down there, we've got funeral care. If we want to have a quick look, those coffins, you can see they've got rainbow ones, really showing what the kind of things we offer. And I think that is fabulous. But let's go and speak now to Nick. Now, I'm sure you know Nick. Where is he? Is he over here? I'm being pointed in a direction. Hopefully we can find him. Where is Nick? This would happen when we're live, so we will find him. Can we see Nick anywhere? Nick, oh, he's over here. We are with Nick. Nick, thank you for joining us. Now, I know you head up the Co-op Foundation now. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, so I now run the Co-op Foundation. We are proud to be the Co-op's charity. We're a grant maker that lives inside the Co-op family. And last year we gave £3 million in grants to charities, community organisations and co-ops in all of the nations and regions of the UK. We were particularly proud last year to give the biggest ever grant in the Co-op Foundation's history, £250,000, to an organisation called Refugee Action. Everybody saw the terrible scenes in Kabul airport with the Afghan refugees trying desperately to get to the UK. We knew we needed to act, and we knew we needed to act quickly. So within just 8 days, in fact 5 working days, Jackson, we delivered the biggest ever grant in the Co-op Foundation's history, £250,000, and it's affecting some of the most vulnerable and desperately needy people in the UK. We're so proud of that work. The other really interesting thing that we did last year, we've had the biggest Lonely Not Alone campaign that we've ever fought. 3.9 million young people saw our campaign, 90% of them acted upon it. We've been working hard to tackle loneliness and social isolation and to improve young people's mental health.
Nick, thank you so much for that. That is incredible, and it's been good to know about the Co-op Foundation. We will join you again soon. Thank you, Nick. Right, well, I don't know how long we have got left. I think we've made some good time there. Oh, goodness, right. Well, let's have a look, have a sneak peek inside the AGM room. I've been told we're allowed a sneak peek, so let's just have a quick sneak peek. And I'm not going to say sneak peek anymore. Oh, no, we're not, because of Wi-Fi. But excuse me, ladies, would you be able to open those doors so our cameras can see through where the Co-op magic's going to happen? Oh, it looks blue, and you'd expect it to look blue. It's looking good. So we'll be live there soon. And I think that's probably all we've got time for now, because we've spoken to some great colleagues, and it's been great to just catch up with them and find out what's happening. So don't go anywhere, though, because we're still going to be live soon at the main AGM. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. If we can get ourselves settled down, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Brilliant. Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for coming, as always, particularly on a Saturday morning. And also we've got quite a lot of members now watching online, so welcome to all of you too. As you know, housekeeping is always my bête noire. It has been since I came. So I will point out that the housekeeping video has been playing in the background, and the information was available at the registration desk, and we're not expecting a fire drill today. There's a hearing loop in the room. We've got BSL interpreters with us, and for those watching online, there'll be subtitles following the meeting. So we're gonna film the meeting. It'll be broadcast on our YouTube channel next week. We find quite a lot of people like to watch it afterwards who can't come on the day. And so if you don't want to be in the camera, there's a sort of no film zone somewhere. It sounds like a no-fly zone, but it's a no film zone. And it's in the far left of the room. Is that as I look at it? Oh, yeah, it's in the far left of the room as I look at it. I mean, the most critical thing is, and actually for the last 2 hours, it's been really great just to see everybody again, frankly. I think it's been 3 years probably since we all met, and it just does make a difference to see people and to be able to talk to people and sort of just remind ourselves that we're real and we're human and that we interact. You'll also notice some changes. We're embracing the feedback we've got from the last 2 online meetings. As I say, there's the online participation growing all the time. And we've offered slightly smaller, more intimate events with greater emphasis on the online viewers. So if you're watching online, welcome, and hopefully you like the piece with Jackson Mills before. It was pretty good. Before I get to the formal business, we always now announce the MMD elections at the beginning of the meeting. This year there were 2 MMDs of our existing MMDs for a re-election, Paul Chandler and Sarah McCarthy-Fry, and we had 2 other candidates, Christine Tacon and Tim Nolan. And the results of that are that Paul and Sarah were re-elected, which is amazing, and Christine and Tim, who put up a good campaign, unfortunately weren't. So congratulations to Sarah and Paul. They've been excellent MMDs, so well done to you guys. Let me move on quickly to the platform. We've got Shireen, who's our chief exec, Stevie Spring, who's the Remco chair, Helen, who's obviously our general counsel and group secretary, and Denise Scott Ronald, who's our council president. This is Denise's first AGM, so welcome AGM. All the rest of the boards here, including Simon Burke, who heads up the Risk and Audit Committee, and the auditors are here too, and they always attend the meetings they do every year. So let me give you a sort of outline of the plan today. Shireen will talk about the 2021 performance, and we decided actually, Shireen decided actually, to get some more of our people involved, so you can see more of the management team. So she'll be joined by some of our leaders, and I think you'll find that interesting. Following that, Stevie Spring, the Remco, will speak about REM, and then Denise will do the council address. And then, of course, we'll have our normal Q&A sessions, and I'll tackle how we're going to handle that when we do it. If you're online, I'm just saying, if you're online and want to ask a question, you have to post this in Zoom chat. And the question will be read out by Russ. Russ, where are you? Put your hand up. Russ Brady, who will do it on our behalf. And if you want to ask questions live on camera, this is for online, please indicate that when you post your question, and we can pick you out at the relevant time. And then we'll go to the voting on all of the motions. Then we'll have a closing session. We've not got a formal break in the proceedings, so feel free to come and go as you want, obviously in the least disruptive way. And then I think when we finish the meeting, there's some grab and go stuff for people to take away or to have when we're lunch there. Before I move to Shireen, I think it's really important to reflect on the last couple of years. I mean, they have been pretty tough for all cooperatives and all cooperative members, but just for everybody in general, it's been a pretty tough time. During this time, our colleagues in the stores and in the rest of our business have done an amazing job. in our funeral business area. Every single piece of the business, people have done an amazing stuff. And I'd like us to just, give a round of applause to those people because they have been fabulous. When you talk about being there when people really needed it, we were, the COT was, and our people were, and that was all not just this piece, but all our societies were pretty amazing, I think, in the front of that. Through all of that, and now for the last 10 years, of course, Steve Murrells was the chief exec, and he was really pleased to see that he was awarded CBE in the New Year's Honours List, which I think was a reflection on the performance. Steve, formally steps down today after 10 years, 10 fantastic years actually with our co-op. And so on behalf of the board and I guess and all of you, I'd like to formally thank him for his commitment, passion and leadership. Steve, thank you very much. Steve couldn't go without saying a few words, so I'm going to get him up to say a few words in a minute. Before I do, just one other person who will be leaving us during the summer, which is Helen Grantham, who's been our General Counsel, and she'll retire actually at the end of July. Helen's been with us for 6 years. She, again, been a stalwart, really, for the business and for us as a society. She's, her values are very much aligned with our own. She's been really at the heart of all the work we've done on principles and making sure that that decision-making tool, which looks at the co-op values, is always present in everything that the board do. So, Helen, also thank you very much for what you've done. And then, so I'm going to get Steve up. Where's Steve somewhere? Steve, you're going to come up and say a few words? That'd be awesome. Steve, up to you.
Thank you, Alan. Good morning, fellow cooperators. It's good to be here. Trying to get 10 years into 3 minutes is no small feat, but here goes. My goodness, where did the last 10 years actually go? I came to do a job, but very quickly realized that it was much more than just a job. It became, for me, quite frankly, a journey of purpose. And how far we've traveled and how much actually we've all achieved during that 10-year period. Now, as you know, many colleagues have come and gone in that time, all putting their mark on the co-op and helping our co-op regain its mojo. But at the end of the day, as I've said on many occasions, we are a people business. And I'm so proud of how our colleagues have risen and shone over these past 10 years. No hurdle was too high, no ask was too great, and they always answered the call to deliver more for their members and their communities. It's what they did. Without their endeavours, we would never have got through some of the biggest challenges over these last 10 years. Horsegate, the banking crisis, Brexit, and of course COVID, to name but a few. Now, it's been an absolute privilege to serve, and over these last few weeks I've come to realise that I may be leaving my role at the co-op, but the co-op will never leave me. It's become ingrained in my life and has been some of the fondest memories that I've had in my career. We've all achieved so much during that time, and I am truly grateful for Alan's support and the board's support during that time. Their support echoed in many of the things that we did. The iconic emergence of the rebrand, our expansion into wholesaling, the very fast and rapid move into e-commerce food shopping, repositioning our insurance business, or growing our digital capabilities in funeral care and legal services. Their support provided our co-op, our society, with a means to develop the core business now and into the future. But their support and challenge was much deeper than that. Along with our member council, they've helped the co-op regain its sense of purpose and its sense of belonging. And I'm proud of the value that we've created and returned back to our members and their communities. I'm proud that we've got our campaigning voice back in the crucial areas. And I'm proud that we recognised the need to become a much more inclusive, respectful, and anti-racist society. Our vision of cooperating for a fairer world has been our North Star, and it shone so brightly at a time when the country is crying out for businesses of real purpose. Everyone in this room, with 60,000 co-op colleagues, millions more members and customers, have helped make that happen, to make a real and tangible co-op difference. In Shireen, you now have our first female CEO. The co-op baton is now in your hands. Nurture it, take care of it, and I do look forward to seeing how the society continues to grow in the future. Thank you very much. It's been a privilege.
We couldn't let Steve go without a little memento from us. So this is a special membership card. It's got Steve's name on it, and it says 10 years, and we wanted you to have this.
Thank you, Alan. Thanks very much.
Good, thanks, Steve. So I'm going to hand over to Shireen, who's going to take us through the next bit of the session. Shireen.
Thank you.
You going on there?
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Steve. And hello, everyone. It is so nice to see you all. And it's lovely to be in Manchester Central and to see all of you here in person as well. Also, a very warm welcome to everyone joining us from home. And I wanted to see, is Jackson in the room? Where's Jackson? Jackson. I mean, didn't he do a great job running the marketplace? Thought that was just wonderful. Thank you. And we have so many talented and wonderful colleagues in our co-op, and I hope that the marketplace, even for people who weren't here in person, I hope that those of you at home also enjoyed viewing it. And I know, Jackson, you interviewed me, and I'm sure you interviewed lots of other people as well, and I hope that you all enjoyed that. So some of you will remember me sharing our commercial performance at our last couple of AGMs, both of which were all completely or partially virtual. The last time that I was at a co-op AGM in this sort of forum, I hadn't even joined the co-op yet. So this is a first for me, and it's a real pleasure to be here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Shireen Corey-Hack, and it's both my honor and my pleasure to be able to speak to you all today in my role as your interim CEO. So I'd like to start by thanking you, Steve. I'm deeply grateful to Steve for bringing me into this wonderful organization and for all of the help and mentorship that you've given me, Steve, over the last 3 years of working together. And while the jury was out for the first year or so, and as we went through a period of adjustment during COVID, I'm also now very grateful to you for encouraging me to move up north. So we love it here now, but for a while it was a big change from London. So Steve has led our co-op during some incredibly difficult times. And he's built businesses that not only lead in many of the markets that they serve, but our co-op is the very definition of a purpose-led organization, which is something that very few others can truly say. So I'm very grateful to Steve for the support that he's given me during my time as CFO, as CEO of Life Services, and thank you, Steve, for the support that you continue to give me as I move into this new role as well. He's always on the end of the phone, always available, and I'm really thankful. So like all of you here, I wish you all the best in the future. I'm very excited to see what happens next after all the holidays and resting and sleeping, and I'll wait to hear. So look, I'm really proud to have this opportunity. We have a fantastic heritage and a brand that's second to none, and our colleagues are nothing short of amazing. But what's most important is what we do. So we exist to deliver our vision, which is cooperating for a fairer world. And that allows us to give back to you, our members, to our customers, to our colleagues, and to the communities that we serve. So in a little while, we're going to be sharing some of the achievements and 2021 highlights that bring our vision to life. But don't worry, that doesn't mean that I'm going to do all the talking. As Alan said, it's quite the opposite. It was really important to me that you actually heard from the people who bring our vision to life. So we've asked our colleagues to tell you directly what they've done and what they've achieved. Which brings me to my second thank you, and that's a thank you to every single one of our 60,000 strong co-op team. Wherever they are, whatever role, they've done a simply fantastic job, not just during 2021, but as Steve said, over the last couple of years as well. 2 years during which we've experienced things that I'm sure none of us thought that we'd experience in our lifetime. And I have spent lots of times lately listening to our colleagues and talking to them. And the more you learn about what people do, the more you're on the ground with them, you just realize just how truly inspirational they are. So can I ask you, please, just to take a moment, just to say thank you to our colleagues at our co-op. And actually, it's so nice to see so many of you here today, and I know that lots of them are watching online as well. So shortly, you'll be hearing from some of our team via video, and then Ali, our Customer and Community Director, will chair a panel discussion with 3 of our co-op leaders, demonstrating the power of cooperating for a fairer world. And before I leave you in their very capable hands, I wanted to share some of my thoughts and reflections on last year. Now, we said in 2020 that we knew 2021 would be another challenging year for us. The pandemic, the lockdown, and the associated shift in consumer behaviors led to a good set of results for us in 2020. So for 2021, we knew lockdowns would begin to lift and behaviors would revert back. And we'd taken a considered approach to our financial plan. And at the same time, we decided that it was now time to invest in our co-op, which we hadn't really been able to do in 2020. And that would allow us to make the commitments that we'd made to our colleagues and our communities and to deliver our vision. Now, a little later, you'll be hearing from our new Group Finance Director, Suro. Can I see Suro? There's Suro over there. And he'll share more of the detail on our year-end performance. And in particular, he'll share with you how some of the challenge in 2021 was planned and some really we couldn't have foreseen. But despite this, we have so much to celebrate. When we launched our vision in 2019, we knew that it gave our co-op the opportunity to make a real difference in the parts of society that needed our help the most. But little did we know just how relevant that would become. And that relevance remains today and into the future. So when I look back at 2021, there's simply so much to be proud of, and unquestionably, all of it is delivered by our members and our colleagues and our partners in our communities as well. Our Communities Partnership Fund, which is created from the funds that our members generate simply by trading with our co-op, distributed £4.8 million during 2021. And it sits alongside our local community fund, also supporting thousands of local causes that really matter to people and have an impact directly in our communities. Our charity partnerships with Mind, SAM-H, and Inspire continued. And thanks to the incredible efforts from our colleagues, member pioneers and members, we raised £4.5 million in 2021 alone. And that makes me incredibly proud, and I'm so grateful to everyone for their efforts in doing this. Our commitments to our colleagues continued as well, with new well-being policies, improved safety for our retail colleagues, including Safer Colleagues, Safer Communities campaign, which resulted in a change in law. And there's more to do, but we're making progress in making our co-op a diverse and inclusive place to work. Our commitment to the planet remains, and we continue to deliver to our plans. So that's all from me for now. Thank you very much for listening. I'm looking forward to coming back a little bit later to talk about our plans for 2022. But for now, I am so, so proud to introduce our colleagues and our co-op leaders.
2021 was a year where the impact of COVID continued to be felt across the country, where hearts and minds continue to follow landmark moments from 2020. Long-standing issues became even more prevalent, and global communities were met with new challenges. Under our vision, the efforts of our members and colleagues made amazing things happen. 517,000 new members joined us in 2021 to have their say in who we are and what we do, to help create our products and strengthen our efforts to cooperate for a fairer world. We found new ways to connect our members to each other and key projects benefiting their communities. And just by shopping with us, members continue to generate funds that make a real difference. And that doesn't even include the amazing fundraising we all achieved together in 2021. All this supported our 3 community missions.
My name is Jo Farnworth. I am the Co-op Coordinator and Careers Advisor at Co-op Academy Failsworth. We started this project as part of a bigger programme to poverty-proof the school and to reduce food wastage. Students now run the community fridge as part of a wider curriculum.
Our colleagues continued to go above and beyond in 2021, undeterred by challenges old and new. It was important that their efforts were recognised. It was also important to offer colleagues key new opportunities.
My name's Sonny. I'm part of the LGV apprenticeship scheme at Co-op.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm an apprentice LGV driver.
Being part of Co-op has been amazing. It's absolutely great. Being part of family and working together, all the apprentices work together, we help each other. It's a new day, every day is a different day, it's exciting. Being on the road, don't know what it's going to entail. It's challenging, but with challenges come great rewards, and I couldn't be happier being part of Co-op.
Now, before I was on the apprenticeship scheme, I worked in the Co-op food stores for 5 years. Although I did really like the job I was doing and the people that I worked with, I thought it was time for a change, a new challenge. Now, I've only been on the apprenticeship scheme for 4 months, and I actually can't believe that I can actually say that I've already passed my LGV driving test within that 4 months. I'm also getting the opportunity to redo my maths and English key skills, which is something I never thought I would be doing. One of them is I get on really, really well with everyone that I work with. All the drivers that I've been out with, they're really nice, really helpful. My work-life balance now is much better than it was. I get to spend a lot more time with my family.
We were fully committed to the promises we made our colleagues to be more diverse and inclusive and to keep them safe. And while they continued their amazing work, we wanted to continue to support their well-being. In 2021, we published our 10-point climate plan as a blueprint for how we will play our part in addressing the climate emergency. We built on this with a Climate Justice for People and Planet report, and we strengthened relationships with Fairtrade Africa and the Fairtrade Foundation to better support producers already experiencing the impact of climate change. As part of our route to being net zero by 2040, we met targets for reducing our direct carbon emissions 3 years early. And we made our members' voice heard at COP26. We celebrated key anniversaries in our businesses in 2021. And we found new ways to empower our members and customers to make a difference.
Hi, my name is Suzanne. I'm Member Pioneer Coordinator for the South Durham and North East Yorkshire area. To bring the events to life in our communities, we visited schools, community centres, and even had a football club who arranged a litter pick within their grounds. We talked to members inside and out of food store with the help of both our food and funeral colleagues, showing them examples of soft plastic recycling and how they could scrunch it, clean it and co-op it. For me, the personal highlight of the events was firstly the outcome of working with 3 local primary schools. We set the schools a competition of which each class would collect soft plastic recycling that they collected from the homes, family and friends. The result? Amazing.
The power of cooperation and the amazing efforts to realise our vision have seen important change come to be for our communities, our colleagues and our planet. But beyond making a difference, this sets our co-op apart on our high street and our marketplaces, encouraging others to trade with us and join us so that we can stay strong and carry our vision and what we achieve together into the future.
Wow, what an amazing set of achievements. I can't tell you how proud I feel to be part of our co-op right now, and I hope you're enjoying that same feeling. Good morning, everyone. As the slide says, I'm Ali Jones, and I have the privilege of being the Customer and Community Director here at the co-op. And I wanted to take a moment to build on the point in the video and how our vision clearly sets us apart, and it's something I'm incredibly passionate about. When these amazing things happen for our colleagues, members, communities and the planet, it's my team's role to help celebrate them, share them with our audiences, both inside the co-op and outside, and then encouraging people, customer members to take more action and allow us to do even more. Every day we see our vision distinguish ourselves from others in the media and in the opinions of those who choose to trade with us. We know it's how we've been seen by these audiences that influences their spending that comes into our businesses and marketplaces. In turn, this goes on to ensure the co-op continue to support communities, whether that be overseas or closer to home in the future. So I wanted to share with you what it meant to our audiences in 2021 when we make a meaningful commitment to make things better and fairer, and we deliver it in an authentic way. Some of the initiatives from the video that's just been played really piqued the interest of journalists and media outlets. I want to review with you just a few of them so you can see how we've managed to reach some massive audiences. We saw the Ghosted Generation report appear on national and regional broadcast channels no fewer than 780 times, and we drove 7.2 million social media engagements. In terms of the exposure achieved, here are just a few examples on the slide now. This one of the largest post-pandemic studies of its kind. This report spoke to children as young as 10 and into young adulthood at the age of 25, just to try and understand how the pandemic had affected them. As part of our call out for applications to the local community fund, we included some insight from those local causes so we can really understand what they're facing into. These efforts and the need for support reached an audience of over 6 million. And that helped people to understand they could apply in the future or they could support local causes in their area. Our LGV driver applications, again, also really captured the imagination. The scheme that created great employment opportunities reached an audience of over 40 million people. In June, we announced our dedicated pregnancy loss policy. It was, for me, co-op at its absolute best. This policy supports parents through bereavement and grief of a pregnancy, and it doesn't matter what stage of the pregnancy, how long the colleague has been a part of the co-op, or how many contracted hours they have. And this news gained over 300 pieces of media coverage, but was seen by an incredible 200 million people, and fundamentally initiated some really powerful conversations. We then announced that we were removing bags for life, from our stores in favour of our famous compostable carriers. We called on other retailers to do the same, and we became the #1 food retailer when it comes to positive sentiment in social media, and achieved another 500 pieces of news coverage. And to speak to another personal favourite of mine, the wider marketing team came together to shine for COP26, tying our co-op to those hugely important events and making it a leading voice in the conversation with something really meaningful to say. Our integrated Co-op 26 campaign captured the imagination of audiences, appearing in more than 35 national titles and attracting praise from industry voices. This, alongside Steve's personal presence at the conference, made us the most talked about retailer on social media when it came to COP26, and also ranked us as the most positive when it came to understanding sustainability. As well as creating waves across traditional and social media, some of these vision moments were also responsible for some of our most compelling advertising in 2021. Working with a market research specialist and their panel of thousands of customers who represent the very people we want to be part of our co-op to become members and trade with us, our best performing food campaigns were inherently related to cooperating for a fairer world. Removing plastic from our Easter eggs, soft plastics recycling in our stores, and our unique live ad at Christmas, spotlighting Hubbub's community fridge network, were considered the very best at creating a long-lasting positive impression of our co-op. Our Christmas ad, as well as evoking a really strong emotional response through our community support, the research indicated that this important vision message drove sales and made people come to us and shop with us more often. Both the soft plastics campaign and the Christmas ad won awards with the specialist Systems One business that reviews all the ads across the marketplace. So what does this mean for our co-op? And how does news coverage, the social media conversation, and our advertising add up in a way that the vision and ultimately our brand is perceived? Well, to focus on our food business again, and specifically for a moment in the last quarter of 2021, we were seen by the panel as fulfilling way more on average than similar retailers when it came to giving back to the community, being involved in communities, and championing issues. Across all our businesses, as a group overall, we ended the year with more people than ever recognizing how we care for our planet and act to be sustainable compared to levels in the last 2 years. And last but not least, to end with one of my favorite graphs, an important one to share with you, our members, we saw a sustained increase in those who said our co-op champions issues its members and customers care about, totally unprompted. This isn't a multiple choice question. We're right there at the front of our members' minds, more so than we have been in the last 4 years, an increase of 50% on 2018. Now going forward, we know as a team there's still plenty of work for us to do in terms of the way our co-op is seen by others. However, we are so proud of the momentum we've been able to do here today, and it's an absolute honour to share this with you today. And before I get carried away with more percentages and graphs and proof points, I'd like to open the floor to 3 people who I'm very pleased to say that I get to work with closely every single day. Please let me invite them to tell us how the vision enhanced co-op in their eyes. And I'm joined on stage just now by Rebecca Birkbeck, who's our Director of Community and Membership, Claire Costello, our Interim Chief People Officer and Lead in Procurement, and Michael Fletcher, our Chief Commercial Officer. Welcome to the stage. So, Rebecca, I'd like to come to you first. We've talked about what our audiences consider to be their favourite vision-related activations for the year. What about you? What was your big highlight in 2021?
Thanks, Sally. Hi, everyone. My highlight has to be that over 1 million, so that's 1 million of our members selected a local community fund cause in 2021. This is the most we've ever had, and as a result, our members have raised over £13 million helping to support access to food, mental well-being, and opportunities for young people. And we know this was greatly needed by these local groups who are massively still feeling the impact of the pandemic.
Wow, that's fantastic to hear. And if you're looking ahead, what's coming down the line that means a lot to you?
Well, this year, I think I'm most looking forward to seeing how much more our members are going to do to support our communities. We know that's going to be so important against the backdrop of the rising cost of living. We're going to be growing our network of the 500 Hubbub fridges, you saw that on the video, raising and reaching our target of £8 million for Mind, SAMH and Inspire. And we're going to be helping over 6,000 young people to gain access to opportunities through our academies, through our virtual work experience and our peer collective.
Wow, you and your team have achieved so much this year, Rebecca, well done. And if 2021 is anything to go by, I can't wait to see what you bring to this stage at next year's AGM. So thank you so much for sharing. So Claire, I'd like to come to you now in your new role as our Interim Chief People Officer. So great to have you at the helm of this. And I know you've really only recently just moved into the role as Helen Webb has stepped away from the co-op to pursue new opportunities. However, initially, your new position, how do you think co-op has made things fairer for our colleagues in 2021?
Thanks, Ali. And yes, I am really pleased to say that we've got so many great policies, products and services. It's fantastic to see what the team have shared with me so far. And the good thing is that they've driven so much by colleague insight, so we know they're delivering what we need them to. There's so many things from 2021, but if I was to call out just a few things, it would be our ongoing commitment to our real living wage and supporting colleagues with that, alongside that with Wage Stream, which you saw on the slides, and New Life, which is a fantastic service that offers rewards for healthy behaviours like walking and mindfulness. So if you want to get some quick treats and rewards, use that. We have over 8,000 colleagues that have signed up to that already. We've also focused really heavily on wellbeing this year, the Wellbeing Wednesday newsletter being really well received by our colleagues because it's focused on what was really important to them, those big issues. We've also launched mental health training across all of our people managers in retail. And again, over 1,500 colleague managers have already signed up to this. And of course, we continue to support our funeral care colleagues and embed their psychological first aider network. And then policies, you know, as we've already mentioned, there's a fair few policies that we've worked on this year. And again, colleague voice at the heart of that and working really closely with our trade union partners. Many of these are sector leading, but really excited on things like the inclusivity around pregnancy loss, new parents, trans and non-binary policies.
As mentioned before, the pregnancy loss policies is one of my standout moments for 2021. But in terms of 2022, I think there's another new policy that's really caught everybody's attention, Claire.
Yeah, indeed. The menopause policy, and yeah, very close to my own heart. But it's something that we've been very happy to share with a number of employers, and even with my procurement hat on, have been approached by a number of other organisations that we've been asked to share that with. So Co-op should be very proud of leading the way. But again, this year we'll continue to work across our policies, our products and services, and actually working incredibly hard to raise awareness of those so that our colleagues get the best out of what is already available for them. But we will also continue to focus on colleague mental and financial well-being. I think, you know, as we heard from Rebecca, incredibly important to colleagues that we continue to focus on that. And we're going to go further on the mental health training as we head through 2022. And of course, we're also celebrating an anniversary this year as well. Again, another one that I've been excited to support in my time here for our Co-op Levy Share scheme. But I'm not allowed to talk too much about that because Paul Gerard, our Campaigns and Public Affairs Director, will be sharing a lot more about that with you shortly. So hold that space.
I couldn't agree more. The Co-op Levy Share has done amazing things and looking forward to Paul's update. So coming to you, Michael, finally, what have been the shining moments for you in 2021 when it comes to cooperating for a fairer world for our planet?
For me, it has to be our climate change pledge. It's the most pressing thing that communities around the world are going to have to face into. And fundamentally, the way that it manifests itself is just fundamentally unfair. We've taken an industry-leading position, not just in the UK, not in Europe, to the best of our knowledge in the world. We've looked at the science. We've got something that says, look, we've fundamentally got to reduce our carbon output, but also in the short term, we should triage it by delivering against some carbon neutral commitments through offsets. So by 2040, we'll be net zero, but by 2025, both our operations and Co-op brand will be carbon neutral. That is absolutely a first. As I say, we're doing it in line with the science. We're doing it in a way that actually supports those communities. So what we don't want to do is just repatriate all our sourcing back to the UK. We have to respect the historical supply chains that exists, and fundamentally we're doing it through cooperation. Steve's been leading the work with the BRC. 62 retailers now have signed up to the BRC climate pledge that gets us down to carbon net zero by 2040. And then on top of that, through the Co-op Foundation, we've launched the Carbon Innovation Fund, which takes the money from the carrier bags and invests it into carbon reduction solutions in the food supply chain. And there's going to be at least 10 of those in 2022. It's a brilliant piece of work, and I'm incredibly proud of what the team have done.
Wow, with some of the commitments you've mentioned, the new 3-year fund, we've sown some important seeds for the future. So looking forward, what are you most excited about, Michael?
I'm going to just steal one more, if I may.
Always does.
So the Queen's Award, we got the Queen's Award this year for our commitment to sustainability. That's an incredible achievement by the team, and reflects the hard work that they were doing, not just in the last 2 or 3 years where it's been fashionable to have these conversations. For the last 2 or 3 decades, co-op teams have been leading the way, and that's a fabulous performance by the team and absolutely superb that it's been recognised. For me, I'm not going to steal my own thunder, so I'm coming on a little bit later to talk about how we're going to tackle food surplus. So I look forward to telling you all about that in a minute.
Oh, very interesting. Nothing like ending on a cliffhanger there, Michael. So looking forward to hearing about that later. So also a big thank you to all of you for letting us share these highlights. And I'm now going to hand over to Sira Mujanda, our Group Finance Director, who will share an overview of our commercial performance in 2021. Thank you very much. Good luck, buddy.
I'm going to go that way. Right. Morning, everyone. That's more like it. That's more like it. Look, my name is Surajit. Actually, when I came up here, I saw that. Look, I've seen this guy somewhere. I said, okay, that's me. So my name is Surajit. So it's the same guy as Suro, as Shirin said earlier. So it's the shorter form of my name. If you're wondering, is this another guy appeared on the stage? I've joined this business in December, and it's I cannot tell you in words how proud I am. And when I was joining this business in December, I've heard great stuffs, I have read great stuffs, but when you are in the machinery, you realize how brilliant, how strong all those stuffs are. So it's an incredible pleasure for me to be in this business, a business which is driven by purpose, and not by the purpose as it is said, but actually the purpose that we live every day, how we operate, because that's what we do. So a business really led by purpose, and it's been fascinating for me to be here. Me being in finance, I'm not here just to blabber, but to talk about numbers. And if being a finance guy, if I want to talk about numbers, you'll be like, what's it all about then? So I will talk a lot about numbers. And there is a good reason for that. You have heard from Shirin, you have heard from Steve, you have heard from Alan, you have just heard from Ali, that it's fascinating of what we do, but what we do, because behind that sits an incredibly successful commercial organization. And if we are not commercially successful, we can't do all of that, what we want to do, i.e. give back to you guys, the community, the colleagues, the customers, the people that we work with every day in and every day out. If we are not commercially successful, we can't do any of that. So hence, we have to be commercially successful. So given all of this, and you have just heard from Shirin, you have heard from Alan, you all know how the last 2-3 years has been incredibly challenging. And not just challenging within the UK, but globally. And some of that madness still continues. You must be waking up every day, flicking onto your, if you thought Donald Trump couldn't win, hey-ho. If you thought Brexit couldn't happen, hey-ho. If you thought Russia won't do something madness, hey-ho. So all those things continues to happen. And in spite of all of those challenging stuff, our performance in 2021 has been not far off where we thought it will be. And it has been incredibly proud for us to get to that point. I must say one thing while saying all of that. There is one big reason behind of that in spite of those challenges, that why we ended up with such a performance which is very close to where we thought we will be. That's because of you. That's because of the 60,000 colleagues that works in our store, in our front line, behind the scenes, that makes all of this happen possible. It's because of them. So can I get a big round of applause for them? A big round of applause. Our colleagues have kept the focus showed the resilience, and they continue to do everything possible they could every day still today. Now, onto the numbers, which, needless to say, has been challenging in 2021. Now, part of that was already planned. You know, it was a year of investment, as you heard from Shireen, and you will hear from her more. But it was a challenging stuff because of some unfortunate incidents. Our total group revenue was at 11.2 billion. It was up by 0.3 billion against the 2019 pre-pandemic, which was at 10.9, but slightly down on the year, reflecting the unprecedented sales we have seen in 2020. Now, part of that decline on the year-on-year was driven by the availability issues and the supply chain issues and everything that you have seen globally. Our profit before tax was 57 million. This was up 33 against the pre-pandemic level of 24 million in 2019 and down 70 on 2020. Now, the reason why it was down versus 2020, one of the big reasons in 2020, we had a one-off of 99 million because of a early settlement on our bank tax deed. Our underlying profit was at 100 million. This was down compared to 173 million in 2019 and 235 million in 2020. Now, the reason why it was again down versus 2020 or 2019, this was a year of investment. And as I said, much of that investment was planned. Much of that investment was already thought through, and we knew that this will be a year of investment. We made a big investment in our supply chain. We make a big investment in our SAP implementation. So, you know, the RBT program that you probably have heard in various contexts. This was a year of investment in our business, in our colleagues. And you have heard some of the investments in the living wage. Our net debt increased from 920 million to 920 million from 695 million versus 2019 and 550 million in 2020. The particular suppression of the net debt or the improvement in the net debt in 2020 was driven by the unprecedented sales, needless to say. Many factors had influenced that, you know, that increase in net debt. You know, as I said, there was a planned component to it, which was the investment in capital expenditure, investment in stock, investment in our business, investment in our colleagues, investment in the living wage. And there were some timing issues, some negative cash flow issues, but there was also a furlough repayment that had an impact on net debt. Plus, we took some really big and bold decisions across 2020, which hopefully you will start hearing more of that as we progress across the 2022. Now, so some of this year-on-year profit down, net debt increasing, sales down might leave you on a low note. Let me leave you on a high note. The good news is that since the year end, we have seen significant improvement in our net debt, i.e. net debt going down. What also we have seen since the year end that we have started to gain back market share. You will hear more about that in coming time. And you will hear from Shireen later that with her leadership team, we have started making some big plans and setting out very, very clear plan how we drive that growth across our food business, across our life services business, and keep doing what we do the best, which is serving you, serving the community, giving back to our colleagues, giving back to the community that we serve. So that's all from me for the moment. I won't bore you more with numbers. And I'm going to hand you over to hear from our the leaderships. And first of them is Matt Hood from Food via Video. Thank you.
Thank you, Suro. Hello, everyone. I'm Matt Hood, and alongside Chris Whitfield, who you'll hear from later, I'm the Interim Managing Director for the food business. I'm going to take a few minutes to give you a quick flavour of what happened last year across our business. Before we get into the numbers, I want to just give you a quick reminder of how our food business evolved during what was an eventful 2021. Firstly, we, as much as others, saw the continued impact from COVID, both in terms of disruption to our trading performance and also those significant COVID-related costs. Due to this, as we did in the interims, we continue to track our performance on a 2-year like-for-like. It gives us a better representation, and using this metric, we continue to be favourable across the last 2 years. Despite these unexpected pressures on our P&L, we recognise the importance of continuing to invest in our colleagues and our supporting infrastructure to enable our future growth. Just some of our key investments were, in April, we aligned pay for over 33,000 frontline colleagues, in line with the real living wage, an annual investment of £22 million. We invested into our logistics network with the biggest regional depot we now have in Biggleswade. We launched our Honest Value range, which we know is becoming increasingly important to our customers in the current economic challenges. We invested circa £9 million across 102 products, and importantly, this lived up to our value with values ethos by not sacrificing our standards. As well as investing in our infrastructure, we've continued to invest in our physical estate, and we've expanded our reach through our strategy of capital-light routes to market. In retail, we opened 50 new stores, which takes us to over 500 new shops over the last 5 years. In our wholesale business, we recruited 546 new stores to be serviced by NISA, and we launched our refreshed NISA reward scheme. We also have a continued focus on the expanding franchise operation, with 22 new shops in 2021 taking us to over 36 franchises that give us a strong nationwide presence. And finally, our flourishing online business continued to grow rapidly over 21. Across 1,600 shops in more than 450 locations, we more than doubled our revenue during the last year. And our coverage is now 55% of the population. All of these, plus many other successes, show we achieved some great things together in 2021, but we were obviously not immune to the challenges felt across the industry, with COVID-19 and supply chain disruption having a significant impact on us throughout the whole year. We also faced into these market-wide issues while we were also going through a major transformation programme to upgrade our commercial, our ranging and our supply chain systems to our SAP solution, making the second half of the year incredibly challenging as we navigated such a major but much needed investment in our business systems. That new system is now fully live. It's fully operational across our co-op and will ultimately enable us to improve the total operation in the years ahead. You'll hear more about this from Chris and Rob later on. So in summary, it's been a tough 12 months for Co-op Food, but it also has for the whole retail industry. We headed into 2022 knowing that there were new challenges ahead, and we continue to work to resolve and overcome these for our business, our customers, and our suppliers. But thanks to the investments in our infrastructure, as well as the strong plans and food strategy that we have in place for 22, we're more than confident that this year will be a successful one. Naturally, that's a whistle-stop tour through what has been an incredibly busy year, but please take a look through our annual report for much more details if you wish. And that's it from me. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll pass you over to Sam Tyrer to talk you through our funeral care business performance.
Thanks, Matt. Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sam Tyrer, Managing Director of Co-op Funeral Care. It's great to speak to you today to update you on our progress. Overall, we had a very strong performance in 2021, and our incredible colleagues continue to provide beautiful and unique funeral services for the nation's bereaved and deceased. Service and care remain the #1 driver of choice in the funeral sector, and it was therefore very pleasing to see our client satisfaction scores reach a new high of 99% across 2021. Full-year revenues decreased slightly by 3%, driven by the lower number of funerals we carried out, which fell by 10% to just under 91,000. This reduction was partly reflective of a lower death rate compared to 2020, and also the closure of 164 funeral homes as we right-sized our physical estate across 2020. Revenues were resilient as we benefited from the first full year of our new propositions and price investment, which launched at the end of 2020, making us more attractive and affordable to more clients. Our funeral planning business remained strong, and we saw a 5% increase in the number of clients purchasing a plan. with just under 45,000 plans sold in 2021. Over the last 2 years, we've developed strong relationships across government and with our relevant regulatory bodies, the CMA and the FCA. We achieved full compliance with all CMA requirements ahead of the September 2021 deadline, and we submitted our FCA application and regulatory business plan in October 21. We're on track with our preparations for FCA regulation of funeral plans, which come into force in July 2022. As we're already seeing in the market, FCA regulation will bring about changes as well as raise standards across the sector and ultimately improve consumer confidence in purchasing a plan. We know the ability to plan a funeral remains important to many, particularly as we emerge from the pandemic. And we remain very well placed with our brand, our reputation, our local funeral home network, our market-leading website and contact centre to support our clients and members with all of their funeral planning needs, subject to FCA approval in the coming months and years. In 2021, we also made changes that underpinned our performance and that will provide a platform for future growth. These include our investments into our core systems, replacing 5 legacy systems with Microsoft Dynamics. This change will deliver a better experience for our clients and our colleagues, as well as improving our controls, consistency of service, and our data. The first phase went live last year, with further phases planned throughout 2022 and early 2023. We continue to evolve our options and services for clients with new ranges across flowers, coffins, memorial items, as well as adding to our eco and natural ranges. We're really keen to ensure that our products and services better represent the communities we support. And last year, we developed personalised funeral options that reflect African and Caribbean heritage in key locations across London and the South East. We invested more in price, most notably a reduction of our direct cremation offering, making us highly competitive in this growing sector of the market. And we've seen a notable uptake in the number of clients choosing this service. We also added to our online services for clients with a funeral planning tool, live chat functionality, and enabling our clients to pay for their final invoice online. In summary, the funeral care business has delivered a lot in 2021 with a strong performance despite lower funeral volumes. Most importantly, we worked hard to look after our clients, providing the very best service and care, making improvements to our products and services, as well as making it easier for our clients to interact with us. We continue to strengthen our operations and systems, as well as preparing for regulation, both from the CMA and the FCA, all of which creates a really strong foundation for us to build on. Thank you. I'll now pass you to Quillan to talk through Co-op Legal Services.
Hi, I'm Quillan Hurley and I am delighted to be able to update you on the performance of the legal business in 2021. And today we're going to talk about 2 aspects of the legal business: new propositions that we've brought to the market, and secondly, the financial performance of the business. There's a famous saying about lawyers: you cannot live without them and you certainly cannot die without them. We're stitched into many of the important aspects of people's lives and their life events. You might be moving home, looking to protect your assets and your financial position. You might look to protect your family. You might be looking after a child's first tenancy, moving jobs, having a dispute with a neighbour. Whatever the life event, our job in legal services is to provide the very best value propositions for you to deal with your legal matter. And in 2021, we made significant progress in the digital space. So we now, in addition to offering telephony support and face-to-face services, we offer what we're calling our hybrid digital services. So what is a hybrid digital service? Well, we take the very best of digital journeys, which gives people the opportunity to instruct a lawyer anytime, anywhere. So our digital journeys capture all of the key instructions that you want to give a lawyer, and then we blend that with an expert legal review for the final step to double check the instructions and ensure that you've picked the very best option for what you're looking to achieve in terms of your arrangements. And that is what we call the hybrid model. So we've launched that in 2021. And in addition to giving clients much greater freedom, we integrated the information captured on the digital journey. We've integrated that with our operating systems. Now you might say, well, what's the point of telling me that? Well, the reason for telling you that is that has allowed us reduce our costs to deliver those legal services. And in reducing those costs, we've been able to reduce the price. So the customer wins on two fronts: anytime, anywhere access if they're interested in taking a digital journey. And in addition to that, the price is highly competitive because of the operational efficiencies we've been able to achieve. So that's a big win for the client. So then looking at our financial performance in 2021. So delivering all of that value for the clients, we've still managed to improve our profit by 28% in the year. The legal team are extremely proud of the additional profit that we have delivered, because from our point of view, a growing, sustainably profitable business allows us to give our colleagues much better career opportunities over time, and also it means that the profit that we can generate goes back in to achieving our cooperative purpose. So 2021 has been a very strong year for the legal business, and in 2022 we intend to continue to find more opportunities to deliver further hybrid digital services, and we also hope to grow the business and grow our profits. I look forward to updating you in 2023, and hopefully 22 turns out as we plan.
Thanks, Quillan. Good morning. My name is Charles Offord and I'm pleased to have the opportunity today to update you on our insurance business. Well, 2021 was a hugely important year for Co-op Insurance. Although we have a proud history of over 150 years of offering insurance, this was our first full year of our new partnership and distribution business model. I'm pleased to say we were already starting to see the benefits of this capital light and customer focused model. Commercially, the business generated profits of 15 million after a 2 million loss in 2020, and this was on sales of 34 million, up from 6 million in 2020. Our new car and home insurance partnership allowed us to make a major investment in our products and customer experience, with both products performing well. With over 162,000 new customers coming to Co-op Insurance in the year. Also, thanks to this same partnership, we've been able to bring on board a number of UK leading insurers to help meet more of our members' and customers' needs. This saw improvements in our competitiveness, with better value prices being offered. Now, moving on to some of our other products. Travel insurance has had a mixed year, with a number of different travel restrictions and measures from both the UK and other countries due to COVID-19. Consumer confidence remained quite low due to the uncertainty. We took this opportunity to look to build for the future, and at the end of the year we successfully launched a new series of travel insurance products with a new partner in readiness for the market opening up. And already we can see the benefits of this in the first half of the year's trading. We also made a major upgrade to our pet insurance products, and we look forward to a very exciting year ahead in terms of pet insurance. The pandemic saw more households get pets and protect them with insurance during the year, and this led to a 20% increase in our sales on 2020. Our two life insurance products in partnership with Royal London have performed in line with our expectations. We improved our over 50s life insurance products at the start of the year to make the benefits simpler for customers to understand. Whilst insurance itself does social good in helping to protect loved ones and their assets, we also extended our partnering with other organisations to make the world a little fairer. Our work in making communities safer with our long-standing partner Neighbourhood Watch broadened out with new activities, such as the launch of Student Watch, a new national initiative designed to improve student safety while on campus and away from home. And last year also saw Co-op Insurance celebrate 15 years since it brought the first UK car insurance policy with carbon offsetting to the market. Doing our bit for a fairer world in 2021 resulted in a staggering 103 million car insurance miles being offset. Thank you for listening to our business updates today.
Good. Well, I hope you found that sort of interesting, get different perspectives from different people on the bits that they're sort of working on. And And as we say, we'll come back a bit later and Sharina will talk a bit about where we're going to go from here. To keep us moving on, I'm going to ask Stevie now to cover the remuneration report. Stevie Spring, thank you.
Thank you, Alan. And morning, everyone in the audience. I'm sort of looking around the room and I'm thinking this is the 7th time I've stood before many of you to go through a remuneration report, because I think I first did this in 2015, and although a couple of years were on camera, it's 7 times that I have faced many in this audience, and I have to say it doesn't get any easier. Yeah, you're probably pleased that it doesn't get any easier, because this is the bit that everybody concentrates on from our membership, and quite rightly. I mean, this year again has been a really difficult one. It's been difficult in all sorts of ways. It's been difficult for the committee, and I suspect we'll have some difficult conversations and some difficult questions. But I much prefer to be in the same place at the same time so we can all eyeball each other. So it's great to have members back at the AGM, but welcome also to colleagues and cooperators online. So as we always do, I'm going to assume that most of you have had a chance to read the report already. As I always say, it's the only bit of the annual report that I'm pretty much guaranteed that most members will read and go to first. So what I'm going to do today is just pull out some of the main bits that I think will be of most interest to most people, and I will try and explain. Even if I can't justify, I will try and explain some of the very difficult pay, but particularly some of the very difficult bonus decisions we've had to make this year. And I'll flag up some of the motions coming up for vote later this morning. But I want to start, as everybody else has, by adding my thanks to our frontline colleagues. They did a fantastic job through 2021. They're still doing it. And to be honest, I count frontline colleagues pretty much all the way to the top. I think all of the co-op colleagues have done a pretty amazing job in the last year. But for absolute frontline colleagues, once again, what we've done is recognise that commitment and that hard work with a significant additional investment. You've already heard on a couple of occasions that one of the investments that we made through 2021 was this reset when we moved 33,000 colleagues, extra colleagues, onto the real living wage. That's the one recommended by the Living Wage Foundation rather than the government's national living wage. And as Matt just said, you know, that cost over £20 million, £22 million. And this year, for our CTMs, for our customer team members, we've moved that hourly rate again by over 4%, from £9.50 to £9.90 an hour. And in London, the rate's gone to £11.25, which is actually more than the real living wage. Something that council members particularly encouraged, we also increased the differential in pay rates between CTM and the team leader roles, and I think that's gone down particularly well. And I also want to remind everybody that those hourly pay rates apply to all colleagues. It's a rate for the role, so even apprentices get that rate for the job. And when you look at the quantum, that is a really significant permanent investment, because for every 15p we put on the hourly rate, that increases our wage bill by well over £10 million. And when you look at how tight some of the money is, that's a big investment. But it's obviously the right thing to do. Of course, we have to balance rewarding our colleagues, who are the absolute foundation of any success, but we have to balance that with all of the other investments that are competing for our attention, the investments we need to make for our customers and for you, our members. And I think this is going to stay as a really key focus for Shireen as we go forward, for my committee, and indeed for the whole group board. So on to colleague well-being, because the well-being of colleagues is a key priority, will always be a key priority. And you've heard already, we've made some really, really strong progress on the range of benefits that we already offered, particularly in health, particularly in financial well-being. We've made mental health training, again, as we've heard, it's available to all of our people managers, and 1,500 have been trained so far. We're still rolling that out. And me of all people, all too aware of that direct link between mental well-being and financial well-being at a time of massive financial pressure on everyone. You've heard we launched WageStream, and that's been accessed by over 10,000 colleagues. Almost 2,500 colleagues have started to regularly save with this industry-leading, it's 5% interest on the account, and that's really helping to make a difference to financial resilience. And I think really importantly, the feedback on these has been absolutely fantastic, that we're doing the right things at the right time, and we've had something over 7,000 colleagues feedback that these new services have really started to make a difference to their lives. And they already complement the other products and services that we offer, including obviously the credit unions. And with the weekly newsletter, we've made it much easier for colleagues both to find and to access. So that makes a really big difference. And in all of the deliberations and all of the new services that we bring out, we put that colleague voice right at the heart of our wellbeing programme, and we will always be led colleague first and their lived experience. They tell us what matters most, and we develop support structures for that. Let's turn to the executives and senior leaders, and that's where most of the most difficult discussions have focused. And I know that many of you, our members, our owners, you all have very strong views on what is fair when it comes to particularly the highest paid colleagues in any co-op, in a co-op, and albeit this is certainly the largest, arguably one of the most complex consumer co-ops in the world. And by backdrop, this is a market we still have to reward senior leaders competitively if we're going to bring them in and keep them. And we need the best talent to run a 10 billion turnover organisation. But all that said, the committee and indeed the board know full well that offer has to be true to the principles and values of a co-op. So all that said, there have obviously been some very big changes to the executive since we all last got together. Matt Atkinson, who many of you will have met as our chief marketeer. He stepped down in June last year. He got a termination payment. He didn't get his deferred bonus. We haven't mentioned yet Joe Whitfield, a food CEO who is currently taking what was a pre-planned career break. And for the avoidance of doubt, to save you a question, yes, it's unpaid. Yes, it will be excluded from bonus accrual, so you can cross that question off. You know that Steve steps down at this AGM. I won't add to the eulogies, but I will say that I will really miss sparring with Steve. We'll have to find something else to spar on. But we do have our first ever female group CEO, and I can't tell you how thrilled I am about that. And obviously, Shireen's promotion moves her up onto the CEO remuneration package that her male predecessor had. There were no other changes to the executive team or to the executive team packages there. I think it's also worth noting, and I think we've demonstrated some of this today, that we're spreading responsibility and decision-making much more broadly through the organisation now, and both the executive and the senior leadership teams are much smaller and, dare I say, run at considerably lower cost than at any point over the last 7 years. So to the thorny issue of bonuses. I take a deep breath when I say this because our job at Remco is to try and assess the performance for the year against the targets that we set a year previously, and trying to set targets in really uncertain times, very difficult. So at the end of the year, when we've got all the results in, we weigh up all of the data, look at all of the headwinds, tailwinds, whatever, and then we use common sense and discretion to come to a balanced outturn in the round. And this year we did choose to use discretion. You've heard me say before, and I always say, how we make our money as well as how much we make is part of that agenda and part of that oversight. And good financial stewardship, particularly when it comes to managing our debt level, which all of you will have seen what happened to that, we have that as an underpin performance for the entire annual bonus scheme. So if you like, it's like a gateway. And the rules say that our net debt compared to our profit, that ratio has to be plus or minus 10% of our budget. Now, at the end of the year, we just achieved that within the target, but there were times during the year when we didn't. So we had some really difficult conversations, a great deal of deliberation, and in the end we made the very difficult decision to determine that that financial gateway test had not been sufficiently met to justify the bonus payout for the senior leadership team, and theoretically that meant that no bonus payments would be made at all. So that brings in the 7,500 management colleagues who were also under the 2021 bonus plan. But really in line with the levelling up reward philosophy that we've been talking about for the last 5 or 6 years. What we decided to do was use discretion to enable the bonus money we'd accrued through the year to increase payments to lower level participants in the scheme. And importantly, that allowed us to include all of our food store managers, all of those people who had been battling another year of COVID, all of the supply issues, all of the stuff that made the year so hard. You will see in the report that senior leadership did receive the deferred half of their 2019 bonus award, because remember, we defer half of the bonus payment for 2 years. And when you see bonus in my report for the exec team, that's what that refers to, 2019. On to pay ratios and the differentials. So this is the 6th year now that we've been publishing lowest to highest pay ratios, and that allows us to track progress over time on a like-for-like basis. And this year, just on salaries, we came out at 39-1, which is an improvement from 40-1 last year, but 5 years ago that was 48-1. So there is some progress, and the reason for that progress is because no changes were made to the chief executive salary while we increased CTM pay over that time period by about 25%, in fact more than 25% now. So I repeat, that's a bit of our levelling up. And listen, we all know it's not just about pay. Those wider benefits, the working environment, all important. And we want every colleague to feel proud to work at their co-op, to enjoy coming to work. That's the most important question on the colleague survey. And we want people to feel recognised for the job they do. But let's not kid. Pay is the foundation of that reward structure, so we've got to try and get that right. Which brings me to a few words on pay policy. We know there are going to be big challenges ahead. We still need to recruit more than our fair share of the best and most talented leaders to deal with them. I've said before, our executives, our leaders shouldn't be the highest paid in the market, but we shouldn't abuse their commitment to cooperation either. And listen, it's never easy to get that balance right. We had difficult issues to consider in 2021. We took difficult decisions, and I want you all to rest assured that the committee is absolutely focused on getting the best return from our members' investment in talent. Now, the pay policy in its entirety was last voted on by you back in 2019 at the AGM then, and we haven't made any changes to it since then. So I really hope you'll be able to support the additional motion that we have today to approve the executive pay policy for another 3 years. So it's rolling it forward, and I want to thank you all in advance, assumptive close there, for voting in favour of a continuation of that policy. So from assumptive close to close, as I said, over the last 7 years of this committee, we have been changing quite dramatically how we reward, particularly our executives. We have significantly rebalanced the proportion of fixed pay and variable, i.e. bonusable pay on performance. We've simplified the bonus scheme, and we're putting that through a full review this year. One, to make sure that it's working as we need it to, and two, to look at broadening it and making sure that we've got the right people in it. We're doing that knowing that 22 will be another, I'm bored with saying challenging year. I want to say something more appropriate, but there are children present, so I shan't. So let's go with challenging. It's going to be another challenging year. And in setting the bonus targets for 2022, again, we've focused on key financial, the debt underpin, because that's a key area of focus, but we have colleague and membership and community measures in there because we need to get that scorecard balanced. As I say, how we do business as well as how much business we do. So it's been a particularly heavy workload year. So on your behalf, I would like to thank my committee for all they've done. I'd like to thank the Council Remuneration Working Group, very ably led by the wonderful Leslie Resnicek, and wave to Leslie online. Thank you, Leslie, for challenge support and particularly everybody's help in shaping that scorecard and make sure that it reflects our co-op values and principles. And I'd like to thank you all, our members, again in advance for your support of the report on remuneration and for exec pay policy. And that's really all I wanted to say for now. I'm around all day. If you want to grab me and there's anything that you want to talk about one-to-one, I'm looking at some people because they normally do. And otherwise, I'll look forward to questions shortly. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Stevie. Very comprehensive. I'd now like to get Denise up. This is Denise's first AGM. So we're really, really pleased to have you, Denise. It's great to have you here and have you in front of everybody. So welcome to Denise, yeah?
Thank you, Alan. I must say, it's so much more fun being face-to-face. I don't know about you, but the last 2 years where we had to stare at screens were pretty, I don't know, exhausting. More exhausting than watching TV, I found it anyway. Anyway, so a massive welcome to all of our members here in Manchester, and for those of you watching online, including some of our newest council members, because we've just had elections. So I'm really excited, and I got re-elected back again anyway, so that's really good for me. It's going to be great to be back in a truly hybrid version of our AGM to celebrate things co-op and to meet with you, our members, who make our business what it is. This is my first, as Alan said, this is my first as an AGM as President of the National Members Council. And I am so proud to be leading 100 passionate and amazing co-op members, colleagues, representatives from other co-op societies, and members chosen by Council who together are a voice for our communities that make sure we champion members' needs and keep our cooperative values and principles at the heart of our business. It's an honour to be building on the great work of Nick Crofts, who held the role of president before me for 6 years. And I'd like to say a heartfelt thanks to Nick. I don't know if he's here today. And, oh, he is? I didn't know where he is. But thank you. Hey, Nick, thank you so much. You've been incredible support for me this year. And also, I want to thank anyone that's from London that elected me, because I'm so pleased. Gosh, the results came out yesterday, and I didn't know whether or not I would be on this stage right now. Anyway, but I'm here. Before I move on, I also would like to say a big thank you to Steve Morrell. Where's Steve? Where's Steve? Hi, Steve. For your dedication, your leadership over the last 10 years as a CEO. His focus on our values and visions for creating a fairer world has played a big part in how we demonstrate our difference with real purpose and our members and our community. And I admire Steve. I admire you mostly for this. I mean, for lots of other things, but this. I admire you mostly because in the murder of George Floyd, you were one of the first, I think you were the first CEO who spoke out. And I am so, so proud of that. And I'm proud to say I'm part of the co-op when you did that statement. It meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to my community too. So. Also, I'm going to mention Helen. Helen, I know you're going to be leaving our executive team soon, and we'd like to wish her all the best in her retirement and thank her for her work to embed the council into our governance and help us develop meaningful relationship with our board, executive, and senior leaders. Thanks, Helen. I first stood for council in 2018. And I was keen to get our members in London involved in our cooperative way of doing things. Day to day, I'm a councillor in South East London, in Greenwich, which recently joined the Cooperative Council Innovation Network to bring cooperative values and principles into our local government and empower our communities. Since I was elected as president 10 months ago, I've hit the ground running to get to grip with my very new role. It's important to me that I meet with the colleagues and causes across London to hear about their work in our stores and communities, especially about how Co-op is supporting ways of our members and customers to live sustainably and affordably. I'm so impressed with the progress and the impact of our partnership with Hubbub so far. I was thrilled and actually honoured to be at the opening of the 50th community fridge on the Lancaster West housing estate in North Kensington last summer. And if you don't know that area, it's right next to Grenfell Tower. Our community mission play a big part in creating a fairer world, and exciting that our council members have had the chance to help shape them. The last few years have continued to prove that there are real power in cooperation, and as our campaigns and initiatives bring people together in communities, it's crucial that we're talking to leaders of our co-op around the movement to ensure we bring our societies together to promote, strengthen our better way of doing business. Last November, myself and Alan hosted a dinner for some of our fellow co-op presidents and chairs in Angel Square. It was a fantastic way to get to know each other and discuss so many things. So I was hoping that this would be a start of better collaboration between us, and it's fantastic to see so many of you here today. Relationship building is a big priority for me. In addition to creating stronger links with other co-ops, I want our council to be more inclusive and closer group of members that better represent our diverse communities. Alongside Senate and our Governance Committee and our Diversity and Inclusion Working Group, I've been working with Council Secretariat team to improve our council election process and the culture on council, helping us to welcome new voices, encourage change, and make the most of the wide range of skills and experiences our council members have. And of course, to welcome new voices. We need to regularly communicate and connect with you, our members. Our Member Voice Committee, Member Participation Team and Council Secretariat team have done a brilliant job over the last 12 months, bringing cooperative member education, training and information opportunities about our differences to life on our join-in platform, supporting our members with having everything they need to play their full part in our co-op. More than 20,000 members got involved with video quizzes, events in 2021, learning lots of topics like fair trade and our commitment to becoming anti-racist in all that we do. There's even more on the plans for this year, so please keep an eye out on your email and for the latest information. So how has Council worked for co-op members in 2021? To effectively hold our board to account on the performance of our co-op and the things that matter most to our members and communities, board members attend all our council meetings, giving council members the chance to share their views and ask questions on many different areas of the co-op business. Last year, we raised 62 questions on behalf of members as part of our commitment to influence board thinking. Through council's committees, working groups, advisory groups, we also talked with leaders and colleagues about business and plans in more detail, feeding back to help shape big pieces of work. To give us a clear steer and focus for our discussions and priorities, we use something called the Co-op Compass. And you can see some of it on the screen right there. It has 4 lenses that cover the main areas of our differences. To challenge the board to create and build better value in everything we do, Council has its Member Value Business Performance Committee. Last year, a main focus was around providing input and asking questions on our partnerships with Amazon and Deliveroo. We know this is an important issue for our members, and we've pushed our board hard to influence their ethics and make sure that our cooperative values and principles are protected. The committee regularly reviews business financials too, and at our first council meeting of 2022 in April, which was face-to-face, we were given an update on the performance of our co-op. During discussions, we shared our concerns about debt levels and cash generation with our board and executive, and were reassured by their plans to address issues in these areas for members and the future of our business. As you can imagine, having an active and healthy democracy at Co-op is a top priority for Council. Last year, our Member Voice Committee played a big part in helping us develop communication for our 2022 election. And this very AGM, sorry, take a bit of water. This very AGM, so that we can reach more members with a chance to vote. Some of our council members from this committee also work closely with the communities and member participation team. Council suggested and co-created Co-op's Member Pioneer model and regularly receives updates on how they are supporting our communities. I'm delighted to share that we reached 1,000 Member Pioneers around the UK last year. To shape participation locally, council members and Member Pioneer coordinators have been paired up together for where they live. This will be a huge help to hearing members' views and raising awareness of council at the community level. I'd like to say a big thank you to the Member Pioneer team for making our communities better, places to live, work, play, and get members involved in what we do. Oh, it's brilliant. Yep. Thanks, Member Pioneers. Our Ethical Sustainable Leadership Committee inputs into our ethical, sustainable business activity, working with our board to demonstrate leadership in this area. It spent time understanding the raising questions on our board's use of our ethical decision-making tool to balance who we are as an ethical retailer with what we do as a business, particularly in relation to our partnerships and how we align our values and principles. Council members on this committee also take part in the review process for our annual corporate report, which members have voted to approve for the first time this year, sharing feedback and build for the final version. The report highlights the work we've been doing to create a fairer world and fulfill our social purpose, and it's a great read if you haven't had time to look at it. So that's just a glimpse at what we've been focused on recently. As members who truly care about our co-op and cooperation as a model, we really appreciate having a chance to represent you and help shape the business we own. I can't thank all our council members enough for the time and energy they give to their role. And we couldn't do anything of it without our wonderful council secretariat team, who oversee plans and coordinate all our ways of working and link us with the business so that we can be an effective voice for members. As always, Council will continue to champion the views and needs of members with colleagues and leaders around our co-op, holding our board to account on building a business that is fit for the future, which cuts through the noise to demonstrate what makes us unique, remain top of our to-do list. Last year, our 2 vice presidents, Jenny and Leslie, led the development of the Council's next 3-year plan, and I'd like to say a big thank you to them for their work. Thanks, Jenny and Leslie, who's watching online. Their passion and their dedication have helped to form an ambitious and exciting plan that shapes Council's focus and priority for supporting our co-op in achieving its vision with our values and principles and differences at its core. We're still working with our board to agree how council can give real input into our member participation strategy. But while we do this, we'll be pushing ahead with delivering our objective and getting our members involved along the way. It's hard to put into words how much this role means to me, and I hope that my belief in cooperation and my determination to help it succeed as a way of living and working is clear. I'm excited for the year ahead and seeing what else we can achieve as a council and as a co-op. There's lots of change happening, but new ways of thinking can be a very positive thing. Thank you for listening and joining me today. And I just want to say I hope to see you all in person more than online at joining events and elsewhere. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Denise. It's such a pleasure to hear from you at your first co-op AGM. And I was delighted, actually, with the vote yesterday. I wrote to you about that, and I'm so excited to be working with you going forward. You know, the auto cue. I've been asked to speed up a little, so we need to keep going. I've said all that. Okay, so look, thank you all very much for our brilliant speakers today. These are the colleagues who deliver our vision, and it's important to me that you hear from them directly as well as from myself. I actually get a bit embarrassed talking about work other people have done, so I'd much rather they talk by themselves, for themselves, about the great things that they've done. So before we go into the more formal element of today's meeting, I just wanted to share with you a little bit of the context in which our co-op is operating in 2022, some of the known challenges we face, and our main priorities as well. And critically, as this is your meeting, you'll have the opportunity to ask any questions that you may have about anything shortly. So 2021 was challenging. You've heard that over and over again. There's no point laboring on that. But 2022, actually, from what we've seen so far, is proving to be no different. We started the year still facing availability challenges in our food business, although I'm pleased to say that that's been improving significantly over the last few weeks. We've already heard about the economy, both globally and in the UK, continuing to remain uncertain. And of course, the war in Ukraine is absolutely heartbreaking on a humanitarian level, but it's causing also added global impacts in terms of the supply chain, and we know that those impacts aren't going to end anytime soon. Cost of living is an increasing concern for our colleagues, our members and our customers, our clients, and those in our community who actually rely on us for support. The rising cost of commodities, food and energy, for example, are also affecting our businesses, and they're affecting people all over the UK. So if anything, the harsh reality is that economically, we're facing even more challenging issues than we did in 2021. And then all of these issues start to impact household budgets, and we absolutely have a role to play in that, and we need to step up as a co-op to that role. So we have a portfolio of businesses that provide products and services to those households, and often in their time of greatest need. And we have colleagues and members who live in those households, which is why we owe it to those who rely on us to make sure that our co-op is in the best position commercially, as Ciro said, to be sustainable for the long term, but to execute on our vision and to do what we do best. So we focus on those numbers. It's for good reason, because those numbers power us to deliver on our vision. And the more commercially successful we are, the more we have to give back, and it's important to hold on to that. So when I took on this role, one of the first things I did was look at our leadership structure and to bring together in one team the people who can make the key decisions and who lead our co-op on a day-to-day basis. This is an important point, because to achieve our 2022 ambitions, we have to have a common understanding of the issues, our operating environment. We have to have very clear goals that we all understand, that we're focused on and can deliver on. We must act fast, We must make decisions, we must make good decisions, and we must do this at pace. And to do this, we have to work together and as one co-op. At the end of 2021, we held a strategic investment review to allow us to focus our investments and resources where they matter the most to deliver on our vision. We set out our main areas of priority, and while these remain, our market conditions continue to challenge us. So we've supplemented these with a series of short-term transition priorities that see us focus on 3 main areas. The first priority is ensuring that in our food business, we address any remaining availability issues, and we stabilize the performance of SAP, and we get the value out of the investment that we've made. And I don't have my notes with me, that's disappeared. So we've made great progress on this, and in the last few weeks, our colleagues and customers are noticing a significant difference. I hope that you are. Certainly when I go on planned and unplanned visits to stores, I am seeing full shelves and much happier colleagues. In the meantime, our food business has to pivot itself to compete in an increasingly competitive environment and a very difficult marketplace. Things change every single day in our food market, and our team are constantly working on how we address new challenges. As such, we're reviewing our food strategy. We're taking insight from our colleagues across the entire organization as well as various external stakeholders. That is so important because no one knows better what our customers need, how best to serve our customers, how best to serve our members, how best to serve our communities than our store colleagues and our member pioneers. And of course, there are lots of other people as well, but we wanted to make sure that we got that input. E-commerce is absolutely still firmly at the heart of our focus, and it powers our online routes to market in food, wholesale, and franchise. And we'll also continue to innovate products that delight our customers and members. Our second priority is making our co-op a more efficient and cost-effective organization. Every single penny that we spend is generated by the hard work of our frontline colleagues, and we know what they went through over the last 2 years to generate every penny of revenue. We owe them the respect to spend that money in the right way. And that money's owned by our members. We owe our members the respect to spend every penny in the right way. Now, that revenue at the moment does not translate into sufficient profit in cash because some of our structures, some of the ways we work, and our high cost base. And we cannot have that continue. And our senior leadership is absolutely focused on that. So within that, there are 3 things that we're working on. First, we're reducing our operating expenditure and we're reducing our cost base. We've set some ambitious targets in this. We've got 50 million in plan and being delivered for this year of cost savings, and we're working on the next 50 million for a cumulative set of savings of £100 million. Our 2022 plans are absolutely embedded and being delivered on this. Second, we're working on reducing our debt. As we built up stock at the end of last year, you will have seen our debt levels increase. And I just want to remind you how uncertain our supply chain was during that time. You did not know when you could get what. So our teams decided to protect our stores and protect our customers and build up stock because we knew that we could sell that through in this year. And that's exactly what we've been doing. Now, I can't give you any numbers, but our debt is significantly reduced because we've been selling that stock through. Our ambition, however, is to reduce that debt further, and we're executing on plans with our leadership to do exactly that. And third, as I mentioned, we flattened our management structure so that we have more visibility and more alignment across the entire organization. We're looking at our financial management processes, so the focus is on cash generation, which anyone will tell you at the end of the day, if you look at a business in pure business terms, you can do whatever you want with profit, but cash at the end of the day is the only thing that matters. I'm looking at my auditors and they're smiling. And hopefully my leadership team is smiling as well. And hopefully all of you are. We have to run our business carefully. We need to make sure that we generate cash. And that is taking away the focus from profit, as we've had in previous years, and focusing on something different. So finally, in our life services businesses, each area will strengthen their own unique market position, and collectively will deliver more commercial and member value for our co-op in the years ahead. So we'll do this by delivering a range of new life services propositions with greater sales value being generated through more business-to-business activity and exciting partnerships. I'll remind you, in our life services businesses, these are higher value transactions. They are high margin transactions, and they induce customer member stickiness throughout their life stages. So we absolutely need to focus on that. Our funeral care business is in the thick of preparations to become fully regulated this summer, and this is a huge challenge for us. Is that Sam I see up there? They've been going through their interviews through the regulator. Anyone who's had to do that before will know how painful and difficult it is, but they've gotten through their interviews and they're doing a great job there. So this is a huge change in how we work in our funeral planning business. And at the same time, we're continuing to transform core systems to help us to serve and reach more clients with online services and preparations. Our legal services business has made some incredibly bold moves in digital innovation and building business partnerships in 2021. Quillen talked to you about this. She talked to you about her year-on-year growth. I can tell you, compared to our competitors, our performance is outstanding. And we're building leading-edge products, distributing them in a leading-edge way to absolutely win in that market. So I'm so proud of that. And in our insurance business, since we entered our partnership with Marker Study and they took over our underwriting, we've been able to divest ourselves of the pressure of underwriting and dealing with claims. Charles has done an incredible job with his team in order to bring on more insurers so that we can broaden our depth of offering, so that we can offer more to our members and to our customers, and so that we can also collect data in the right way to be able to offer more across the portfolio. So this is bringing improvements in our competitiveness, even in what is a very difficult trading environment for retail insurance, and with better value prices being offered. Now, at the risk of all of you thinking that I've forgotten myself and I'm talking about numbers and profit and cash and I'm back to being your CFO again, I have to say that as our leadership works through the significant impacts of what I've just told you, we ensure that we never lose sight of why our co-op exists, to deliver our vision and our commitments to our members and to our 60,000 colleagues right across the UK. That is the most important thing. So shortly, you'll be hearing from Paul Gerard, who will be talking in more detail about just how important it is to be a purpose-led organization. I'll repeat here as well, lots of organizations say they're purpose-led. It's the bandwagon to jump on. We are the one who genuinely is and has decades of history to be able to do this. And it doesn't matter more at any time than now, considering what we've been through and where we are. You'll be hearing via video from the Right Honourable Justine Greening MP, who'll be sharing some of her findings from a brand new This is Purpose report based on an independent review of our co-op. And I was thrilled when I read the report, and I hope that you also find it interesting. Then Rob Elsey, our Chief Technology Officer, and Chris Whitfield, co-MD of our food business, they were going to do a video, but we're running short on time. So we've given them microphones, and they're going to give you an abridged version of that video right here on stage. But I think Paul Gerard's first. I promised Chris I would never put him under a spotlight. So not only am I doing that, but he's rushing up here. I think you like it. So membership has always been and always will be at the heart of our co-op, which is why these meetings are so important to all of us. This is your chance to have a say on what we do and how we do it, and it's our opportunity to share with you, as we have, our ambitions and our successes and our progress. So after you've heard from Rob and Chris, we'll move on to the more formal element of our meeting today, beginning with our live Q&A session, followed by voting on our motions. But before I hand you over to Paul, I'd like to close by saying again just how proud and honored I am to lead our co-op, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity. I know we're in for another difficult year for all the reasons I've just said, but we have an amazing co-op. We have a strong plan. We have confidence in that plan. And most importantly, we have the best colleagues, an incredibly strong leadership team, along with the support of our board and our council. It's a lot to do in a very tough environment, but we will get that job done. And while we've spoken so much about current market adversity, we should also remember that that gives us huge opportunity to continue doing what we do best, which is cooperating for a fairer world. So thank you very much for listening to me again. And Paul, there he is, over to you.
Good afternoon, fellow corporators. As it says on there, I'm Paul Jarrett, I'm Director of Campaigning and Public Affairs. At the heart of any co-op are values. Values that have stood the test of time. Values that are shared by 3 million co-ops worldwide. And tackling inequality has always been central to what our co-op and the wider cooperative movement has done to serve members and the communities they live in. Whether it's Eliza Brearley having the vote in 1846, 80 years before women had the vote alongside men in the country. Whether it's the Co-op Wholesale Society putting in place a minimum wage in 1907, 90 years before the UK government followed suit. Or it's the cooperative movement championing fair trade in the 1990s to fundamentally address the inequality of the global supply chain by sharing more equitably the proceeds from consumption to production. We've done this because our values mean we are a business with purpose. The original business with purpose. COVID-19 shone a spotlight on the inequalities in our country, but we should not imagine for a second that those inequalities were created by the pandemic or will disappear with the pandemic. The truth is that in 2022, in the United Kingdom, too many people, too many communities do not have the opportunity to fulfill their potential by using the talents that they have. Why are just 60% of adults who were on free school meals as kids are in full-time employment? When if you weren't on free school meals as a kid, 77% of adults are in full-time employment. Why are 78% of white people employed compared to 66% from ethnic groups? Is it right that if you're from a poorer background, you're twice as likely to be in a lower paid job than if you're from a more privileged background? This is what the politicians mean when they talk about levelling up, whatever political party talks about it. It's about tackling the inequalities that prevent individuals and communities from prospering. Now, the government published its strategy a few weeks ago, and you can read it. My observation is this: if we are to tackle the inequalities that blight our country, then we need to use all the assets the country has in the public, voluntary, and private sectors. Now, I worked in Whitehall for 2 decades. I can tell you now that government on its own will not fix this. Tackling those inequalities will need to have businesses to be part of that solution. And our co-op, and I'm certain the co-op movement, will not be a bystander. We will put into communities our assets to the service of our members. It's what a cooperative business should do. It's what a business with purpose should do. And it's what you asked our co-op to do. Last year, this AGM urged our co-op to campaign to tackle inequality, to promote aspiration and to drive social mobility for individuals and communities. On issues of race, gender, age, mental health and skills, we are establishing our co-op as a leader. A leader on how businesses with purpose invest in communities, don't extract from them. Now, I would say that, and I think it's true. But let's hear from one of the most respected public figures of any political party on this issue of levelling up, the Right Honourable Justine Greening, former MP and 3-time Cabinet Minister.
The Co-op is a leader. It's a leader because it's been an organisation for a very long time that has put social purpose right at the core of what it's all about. But it's a leader because in today's Britain, with challenges of cost of living and levelling up, it's an organisation today that can play a huge role in helping people get to a better place with their lives. I've had a chance to see some of that work that the Co-op is doing out in communities, looking at projects like the Community Fridge up in Manchester, schools that the Co-op is running as well. Fundamentally projects that are helping to improve lives of very, very different people and making a huge difference. I'm absolutely delighted that the Co-op is continuing to lead, and it's not just banking that fantastic work that happens around communities all the time. It's challenging itself to say, well, where do we go next? We've been ahead of the pack, but what's that look like for the future? And that's the work that we've been incredibly privileged to work with the Co-op on. It's looking at internally within the Co-op, how can we really track and make sure that socioeconomic diversity is something that the Co-op focuses on as an organisation. It's about looking at what that next phase of work in education looks like. And it's about looking at what all of that footprint that the Co-op has in a wider community, what that means to the supply chain, that much bigger, wider family in a sense, that the Co-op sits at the top of. So it's really exciting times ahead. I think it's never mattered more that the Co-op is the Co-op. And it's just fantastic to be able to work with the Co-op on social mobility, something that I think is profoundly a challenge for Britain, but also a huge opportunity if we can make progress on.
In a different life, actually, Justine was my minister in the Treasury. So I actually know really personally that she is really insightful, super frank, but always constructive. Now, we can be proud of what we've achieved, but we should also listen to her challenge to do more. She said we should work to create more partnerships that can make a difference. We know this. The success of our campaigns on slavery, on loneliness, and on shop worker violence were built on bringing together organisations across the Co-op movement and wider to create partnerships and coalitions. Last year, we convinced government to legislate to protect shop workers. And we did that because we brought together the whole Co-op movement and every major retailer in the country to make the case. Businesses with purpose look to create partnerships to make a difference. Here's one example that people have mentioned earlier today. In 2020, we gifted some of our unspent apprenticeship levy fund to fund new apprentices in Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue Service. It's a good thing to do. And we could have carried on doing our thing, feeling good about ourselves. But we know there is power in cooperation. And so we did more. In 2021, we created the Co-op Apprenticeship Levy Match Scheme, which enables any business to pledge its unspent levy funds to create apprenticeships in small businesses across the country. Small businesses who usually struggle to take on apprentices. Just 1 year later, we have 39 businesses in that scheme. Between them, we've pledged more than £10 million as of today, and that will create 1,000 new apprentices. The scheme's already led to 500 apprentices being created in small businesses up and down the country. And the thing about these apprentices, 71% of those apprentices are women. 36% are from ethnic minorities. 38% have disabilities. and 44% have caring responsibilities. People who usually and too often will miss out on the chance of the life-changing opportunity that apprenticeships can bring, not because of the talent, but because of who they are and where they are from. This is about tackling inequality. Not talking about it, tackling it. This is our co-op pioneering an idea, proving it works, and then bringing together others to make the impact even greater. I'd like to now invite my colleague Michael Fletcher to join me on the stage, and he's going to give you some exciting news which he sort of trailed a little bit before. Michael.
So if your house is anything like my house, at about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll hear normally from a distant room, "What's for tea?" And generally speaking, unless the answer is Domino's, you get a, ugh. The challenge is there are hundreds of thousands of children in the UK today who don't ask, "What's for tea?" And the reason they don't ask what's for tea is they know there probably isn't anything for tea. They know their parents have probably skipped meals so they can eat. They know they've struggled in school because they couldn't concentrate. They know they can't participate in after-school activity, and they absolutely never invite friends back from school. It is a huge inequality that exists today. The biggest travesty of it, though, is about £2 billion worth of food surplus gets destroyed every single year that could go to triaging that. Now, it is triage. We've got to tackle the root cause, but in the short term, we should look to redistribute that food surplus. Now, we had a go with Food Share, which was a really, really good scheme. But in truth, it wasn't good enough. Didn't really get us to where we wanted to be. So we went out and we spoke to the charities and we spoke to our stores and said, what's getting in the way? What's not working for you? And they came back and said, look, here's the problem that we have. The first one is that not enough charities know that the scheme exists. And it isn't that easy for them to contact us and understand where they could collect food. Secondly, there just fundamentally weren't enough volunteers. And the third reason, it was all quite tactical, and they were going into one store, and sometimes that store would have a lot of surplus, and sometimes it would have very little, and sometimes it just didn't justify the resource. So we thought, right, okay, what can we do about this? We can't solve this problem on our own. So we sat down with Hubbub, we sat down with Microsoft, BJSS, who are a software developer, and ITG, who are a big marketing partner of ours, and said, what could we do differently? How could we solve this? And we came up with the idea, which is Caboodle. And hopefully you'll all be caboodling after this session. And what Caboodle is, it's a digital platform. And it allows any retailer in the UK, not Co-op, it's not something we've built for ourselves, any retailer in the UK to go online and register the fact that they've got food waste and the days that it's available for collection. It then allows every charity in the UK to go online, put in their postcode, work out what their radius is and go, wow, look at all that food surplus. Actually, I now want to go and arrange to collect that. And perhaps most importantly, it allows you as a volunteer to go in, sign up, and basically ask, how can I help? And what the platform then does is it matches the food, the charities, and the volunteers in such a way that we can harvest a significant amount of that £2 billion worth of food surplus, and we can take a huge step towards triaging food poverty within the UK. You know, these are the kids of some of the most valuable people in society, our key workers. We cannot sit on the 2 billion and do nothing. It's only part of the solution, it's not everything. So we're working with Hubbub on other things. So by the end of this year, we'll have 1,000 community fridges out there. And there's lots of other initiatives going on. But fundamentally, if we all caboodle, it's absolutely within our gift to make sure that every single child in the UK can come home and shout at the top of their voice, "What's for tea?" So please, caboodle away. So Chris and Rob are now wishing they'd ironed their shirt this morning. Chris and Rob, please come on stage.
Thank you, Ian. Yes, there is. It comes up in a moment. I'm sure you'll be patient, Ian. Thank you. Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you very much. Our co-op, once again, using its partnerships, its networks to create partnerships, because we know we can achieve more together than we do alone. But we should also always look to do more. We remain determined to tackle inequality, to promote aspiration, to drive social mobility for individuals and the communities. I'd now like to, as Michael said, invite Rob and Chris on stage for a further update. Thank you very much.
So delighted to be here. My name's Rob Elsey. I am the Chief Technology Officer. I'm responsible for digital data and technology. I joined the co-op just towards the end of last year and I'm absolutely privileged to be here and I'm really proud to be part of the co-op. I guess we're all surrounded by technology in our lives, okay? And we have really high expectations. We're expecting things to evolve and change. We expect above all, things to be stable. This is no different from our colleagues, our members, our customers, clients, and communities. And that is why within the co-op, it is a huge focus for us to think about how we evolve our systems and our technologies to meet the changing demands. To put it in perspective for you, whilst we've heard today how fantastic and our colleagues really are brilliant, those technologies are actually what are the backbone of the tools that help them do their job every day. To put it in context for you, we have around about 700 systems. We're actually BT's second largest network in the UK behind the post office. Some 3,400 locations, 260,000 devices that connect to it every day. So we've been through quite a period of transformation over the last few years in changing and updating some of our technology. One of the things that's been at the heart of that, you may have heard referred to earlier, RBT, which is our Retail Business Transformation Program. Actually, when I first joined, I met with some colleagues who likened it a little bit to open heart surgery. It really is at the heart of our co-op because it is SAP that effectively does what we call forecast and replenishment. In short, it makes sure we have the right product on the shelves at the right time for our members and our customers. It's not without saying that those type of big transformations can be pretty challenging, and our experience was very similar. It has been an absolute focus, myself and my team, to really stabilize and ensure that we're getting the most out of that investment. And I've spent the last few weeks and months since joining working on that very point. We've enlisted the support of some of our partners. Some of SAP's global experts have landed and worked side by side with our teams to make sure that that is absolutely where it needs to be. I'm pleased to say that we've really turned a corner and we're really starting to see stability in that underlying platform and capability, and it's doing the job we intended it to do. In fact, what I'll do is I'll hand to Chris very quickly, who I'm sure can update you from some of our colleagues' perspectives on the front line.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. So look, this thing called SAP, it's basically a replenishment system, as Rob described, but it's an amazing piece of, it's an amazing tool. It was a big investment, but it is a heck of a change for our colleagues in all functions in the centre. It really is a big change to their ways of working end to end. So it will work brilliantly, but it is incredibly uncompromising in terms of putting the right data in at the right time. And if you don't do that, it kind of stops. And we've been on a huge learning curve. So even though there was, the program did a brilliant job, we started this work 3 or 4 years ago. Actually, we invested in loads of training, But in reality, you know, until we kind of got up and running, it's a bit like a Formula One car, really. You don't quite know what you've got until you get on the track. The second thing that happened last year, you know, it has been an incredibly difficult 12 months for everybody in the food business. The second thing that happened last year was, you know, there was a huge worker shortage. So the previous year we had airline pilots working in our warehouses because everybody was furloughed. Last year we couldn't get enough people, and secondly there was a huge wave with COVID, so there was lots and lots of absence. And actually about this time last year the pandemic kicked off, if you remember that. So that was incredibly difficult from a worker point of view. And thirdly, you know, there was that global supply chain crisis. All of our suppliers were really struggling. So you can definitely say it was a perfect storm. But, you know, I just really wanted to say thank you to everybody in the food business, whether you're working commercial, supply chain, tech. Rob's tech team have done amazing. Anybody that works in the co-op, it's a very difficult 12 months. It was heartbreaking at times. I want to say thank you, but I particularly want to say thank you to the frontline colleagues, the people that were working in the depots and the stores. You know, I've never known anything like it. You've got social distance and all that going on, and at the same time, you've got gaps on shelves. And, you know, our colleagues in stores, they want to be proud about their stores. They don't want gaps. So I want to apologise to them and thank them for doing such a good job of looking after colleagues, looking after customers and members. And then finally, you know, just to say on a more positive note, we really have started to learn the new system in terms of the supply chain teams, commercial, etc. And we're starting to use functionality that is driving real improvement for the customer offer, which is really, really good, and getting into a rhythm and routine, really. Secondly, Rob's team have done an amazing job. So in this flat structure that Shireen describes now, flat sort of leadership structure, we're kind of all pulling together in a way perhaps that we didn't before, because we weren't visible of all the issues. And Rob's team have really lent in and made sure that all the systems are stable so that the depots can pick all of the stock that the stores need and deliver it on time, which sounds quite basic, but we were struggling to do that at times last year, to be honest. But that is not a problem now. We've got the best availability that we've had in 18 months, which is fantastic. And that's not just me saying that. That's not from reports or walking around stores. We have lots of independent customer metrics that give us feedback on how we're doing on all sorts of different service measures, and the availability's come right back. There's still a lot more to do. The biggest issue now is suppliers. So 78% of every gap on a shelf that you see is because the supplier either hasn't sent the stock at all or it's not sent everything that we need. So they're still really struggling, the suppliers. And then finally, we've got to maximise, we've got to get past learning the system and stabilising, and we've got to get on to absolutely maximising it, because it's a fantastic tool. It's a big investment, and that's kind of what we all need to crack on with now. But we're in a much more positive place, I'd say. Thanks, Rob.
It's great to hear, Chris, and we're pleased that we're getting the most out of that. Over the next 18 months, you're going to see us doing more work to make the most of that investment. In fact, we will go on to remove about another 100 of those 700 systems I mentioned and replacing them with one single integrated system. That removes a hell of a lot of complexity. It also, importantly, makes things better for colleagues, easier to understand, easier to learn, and it drives down our cost base, ultimately. You heard from some of our other senior leaders, so I'm not going to repeat the use of digital, the use of technology by majority of their presentations. You know, we have to compete online. We need to offer our colleagues the latest and greatest tools. We're going to do things like refresh our Wi-Fi networks across our stores, about 50% of them, to help the devices that our colleagues use every day to be able to make them able to do their jobs better. And there is a raft of small deliverables and changes in our digital channels that we will continue to support. My team and I are absolutely working hand in hand with our business leaders to make sure that they are able to win and that the co-op is successful as a result of use of technology in delivering what we do for our members, our customers, our communities and our clients. And that's really what we're aiming to do over the next few months. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, guys. We thought it was really important to people to hear some more of the detail of the things that are taking place and actually to see members of the team. I think it was a question about, is there going to be time for Q&A? Absolutely. So we're going to move to that stage now. Two things or three things advanced. You would probably see in a document that you said we did. It's worth a read because obviously we can't cover everything in these meetings, but we have lots of conversations outside the meeting, so we try and make sure we pick up all of the issues that we've got on the back of that. Now, on the Q&A, we've probably got around about an hour to do that and the voting. There's 6 stewards in blue shirts they've got the roving mic, so that gives people the opportunity to bring the mic to you. You just need to raise your hand, somebody will bring a mic. And we've got quite a lot of people watching online, so we're going to try and get online questions from Russ at the same time. As I say, if you're watching online and you want to ask a question, you have to post it in the Zoom chat, and then Russ will read that out on your behalf. We're going to try and get through as many questions as we can. As always, which we did last year, we will answer every single question. If we can't do it here, we'll do it outside of here. We've also had some submitted questions as well, which I'll try and cover during the period of time. So why don't we start off with a couple of questions from inside and try and do a group of 2, and then Russ, you might have 2 online and we'll pick them off the back. So I can't really see very well. So there's a lady there in the middle, if you can give her a mic. And there's a gentleman just behind her, if you could give her a mic. Him a mic, sorry. Go on, you shoot.
Hi there, Alan. It's Cat Rose.
Hey, Cat. I couldn't see you down there, you all right?
Yeah, right. Okay. So our food offer has improved dramatically since 2015. We're doing far more for the environment, and we are far more active in the community. So there is a lot to be proud of. But my question is, with our borrowing portfolio where it is relative to last year and interest rates on the rise, well, which options does a business in our position have to manage this economic headwind of interest rates other than our location portfolio?
Very good question. Shireen, do you want to have a, and then I'll perhaps answer it. Do you want to go? Good question, Kat.
Look, this is what I was talking about before, Kat. The important thing is generating free cash flow, right? Being able to generate that cash to be able to invest in the things that we want to. And that's part of the plan that I was talking about. So, you know, it's absolutely what we want to do. We want to invest in our offerings. We want to invest in our locations. We want to invest in the things that our customers and members want the most, and not be spending money on interest and not be depending on debt to do it. And that is the plan that we're working through as we speak.
Okay.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering how, but sure.
I mean, there's some of it that I can talk about and some of it that I don't. So, you know, the how do you generate more cash flow? You sell more, and you don't waste it in the middle part of your P&L on expenses and things that you don't need to spend on. So that's how we're going to generate extra cash flow. And that's why we're saving the $50 million this year. We're saving the $100 million by next year. We're improving our efficiency. We're getting that money. The how we're going to go about reducing our debt, it's by paying it down, right? So those are the plans that we're working on.
And Kat, it's worth also remembering is the point that was made earlier. You know, since the end of the year, remember a lot of that debt was to do with stocked up in cash. You know, I think everybody said since the end of the year that debt position's come down, you know, significantly. We don't give numbers. We only issue numbers on an annual basis. Remember, we trade a bond, and therefore we have to be very careful what we say in public. The gentleman behind, I think, was going to ask a question.
My name's Michael Marks.
Hi, Michael.
My question is about the cost of living crisis. It's affecting, we've heard some methods that the Co-op's doing, but it's only hardly touching the surface. Food banks give people emergency help, but it's not a builder for self-respect or the future. And what I'd like to ask the Co-op is, what are we doing to provide people with a package? I'd like to think we're exploring a package. We offer value goods in terms of like the pizza offer, which is brilliant, but it's hardly a healthy food balance. What I'd like to see us come up with is something that says, manage your food for a day or a week and actually come forward with a range of products that we're able to offer as cheaply as possible that actually gives people the opportunity to get better value for the money and actually try and feed themselves healthily, because we don't seem to be doing anything in that area, and I'd like to see that happen, please.
We're good. Do you want to make it? We're doing some of that, so Shireen, why don't
Yeah,
you-
exactly. And look, the great thing is, like so many things at our co-op, we started working on this before, before the crisis hit. So we launched our Honest Value range last year, which offers our customers, products that are still sourced according to the ethical values that we have, but at lower prices. We continue to manage our prices as well as we can across our range of products. And on top of that, what we're trying to do is focus our efforts in communities to be able to enable people to afford food. I mean, what Michael spoke about in terms of Caboodle, the investments that we make in Caboodles, in our communities, that is all focused on the cost of living crisis. And the great thing about us is that no one has the reach into communities or the ability to go straight to the issue like we do. We've got our member pioneers. So it's through a mixture of prices where we can, through our Honest Value range, through other efforts and promotions that we can offer to people, but that real reach into communities that no one else has.
Okay, Russ, can I have two for online? I'm conscious of that.
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, so we've got a question first that I'm going to ask from Pauline from Share Action, which is, we welcome Co-op's recent health commitments to measure the percentage of own brand lines that are non-high fat, salt and sugar. In preparation for the upcoming legislation in October, will Co-op agree to set targets to increase the percentage of sales from non-HFS products before its 2023 AGM? Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, no, do two. Can you do two?
Okay. Well, there's a live one, which we've got also from Bridget Benson, who wants to ask a question about political donations.
Okay. Well, do you want to do the live one up? Yeah. Hi. Hi. Do you want to ask your question, Bridget?
Hello. I'd like to ask why the Co-op is still giving over 500,000 of members' money to the Cooperative Party, and isn't it time to assess again this historic link, which I think is becoming counterproductive when more and more members may be members of either the Green Party or over 200,000 members who've left the Labour Party. The Cooperative Party is a fig leaf for MPs who are sponsored by us, but have tried to bury and downgrade the Green New Deal, which again is against the grain of what the cooperative movement is, the cooperative business is trying to do. So I would ask, it's probably too late for this year, but can we please reassess this link and use our precious money to greater ethical and environmental effect next year?
So I'll answer the second one. Do you want to do the HFS?
I think that's one for Helen.
Or why don't you answer the Co-op Party one? I'll add to it if you want, yeah.
So just on the Co-op Party question, as we know, we leave it to our members to decide what we do on Co-op Party donations, and we've got a motion today, which you'll hear the results of later, but obviously, as we know, in previous years, our members have supported our donation to the Co-op Party, so that's the Co-op Party.
I think that's the answer. I know I'm talking to now. I think that's the answer. Is we're all members. We're owned by our members. We let our members decide, and so like I say, there is a motion. We'll see what the result is, but that's part of why we have members. Members vote on these things, and they make the choice. Do you want to make do you want to answer the question about whether we're prepared to adjust, or do you want?
I think that's we haven't made a commitment at the moment. That's one for me to follow up with the team on, and then we can come back on that.
So, but it's a good point to raise some. So we'll take it away, and we'll talk to Matt and Chris about it. Let's have two inside. There's a gentleman there with his hand in the middle, and there's a gentleman there on the back with his hand in the air. No, here. Yeah. Yeah, go. Brilliant. Why don't we go in that order? Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Sean Fensom, member pioneer for Chiltern here in Manchester. Funeral Care is selling its hub, a lovely old cinema in the commercial heart of Chiltern. It's where the Bee Gees first performed in public. Our Community Land Trust put together a bid with a sympathetic developer, a viable commercial proposition for mixed-use development with the iconic cinema at its core. We raised £400,000 in pledges from the community and from BG's fans around the world. The co-op made our bid its preferred bidder, which was fantastic news. But now, after months of what I assumed was due diligence, the co-op suddenly announces that no, actually, it has been talking to a housing association and will be selling to them instead. We suggest you discuss your ideas with them, says the co-op. The board appears to think this is okay because it's a housing association, but it's clear what this will mean in reality. They will demolish the building and build flats. There'll be some offer of a room for the community to use. But we don't want a room, we want a say and a stake in what happens in our community. Instead of working with a fellow cooperative to realise that aim, the co-op is washing its hands of any responsibility and just walking away. So my question is this. I've been a member pioneer for 7 years. If the co-op goes ahead with this sale, then how am I supposed to do my job now? How can I continue to claim that the co-op really is different? That when it says it is part of the community, it really means it. That this isn't just a load of greenwash, which frankly is what people in my community think, along with thousands of Bee Gees fans.
Okay. Do you want to pick the Chorlton thing up? Yeah, okay, so...
I don't think I can answer this to anyone's satisfaction, and I too am a big Bee Gees fan. Look, what I can tell you is that our team in property absolutely know this sentiment. They know what the position that you're describing is, and they went through a process of looking at the best decision for our co-op to make and ensuring that wherever that building went, we got some absolute commitments in terms of what we expected to be delivered. So there was an issue around community space, absolutely. There were other items that we had to make sure were ticked off before we could make a decision. And the decision was as it was on that basis. And you know, I'm not going to answer that to your satisfaction, but that is what we did.
And it might be, I don't know if we can probably do, I think we should share with you what those commitments were that were made that try and cover some of your points. We should definitely do that. And can I also say, you know, thank you for being member pioneer. For me, I loved the member pioneers. As you know, it was a big thing for me. You know, we've got 1,000, they do an amazing job. We had a few with us last night, and I just want to thank you for being member pioneer. For me, the member pioneers are really all about what we do, and they're in the community, they make a huge difference. So thank you for that bit, and we'll share the other bit for you. Thank you. At the back, yeah?
Good afternoon. My local branch is Tarleton Co-op. You had a revamp a few years ago, and you put some self-service tills in, at the detriment having frozen food. Now, we've got an Aldi coming any time. Let's rip the self-service tills out and get more freezers cabinets in. And my real point is, this rebranding, it looks like it's part of the Nationwide Building Society going grey. What you've done is you're driving customers away, because I like going on vacation, whether it's down in Low or whether I'm going to Shetland. With having a green, a blue, or even an orange, as it were, you could tell them on the high street. But now going grey, you're driving customers away. Let's get back to the blue, like you've got blue background for the co-op sign. So people can see it on the high street.
Well, I agree with you. We haven't gone grey.
You want to come and have a look at
It may be, well, we'll pick it up, but I mean...
Dalton and Chorley? They're grey now.
Well, we'll go and have a look, but I mean,
charcoal.
it is...
Oh, is
yeah.
it funeral care that you're talking about?
Is it funeral care?
No, the shops. The shops have gone grey.
Oh, I see. Okay, look, Chris.
It's an awful colour.
Chris recognises that. They're his responsibility. So can we leave the self-service tills and the grey to you, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
What I'm not wanting an answer. Stop the grey and leave it as blue.
It is predominantly.
Oh,
we agree.
green.
We agree. We love the blue. You know, we put the blue there. We all agreed. So, okay, well, we'll see about the grey and the thing, but we're for the blue. Put it that way.
Right, thank you.
Russ, 2 more online, and then we get 2 more inside.
Yeah. Question from Susan Watson. Following its consultation with educators and experts during the last year, has the Co-op Academy Trust decided to decolonise the curriculum and teach critical race theory? And then there's a question which I'm introducing from Bill Watson on franchise.
Okay, do you want to do the franchise? Andrew, is Bill want to come on?
Yeah, Bill will come on.
Bill, do you want to come on and do the franchise one?
And I can say with the co-op academies, that was something that we had put into our commitments for racial equality. And yes, we will be introducing that.
Okay. Bill?
Yes, hello.
Oh, sorry, yeah, go on, Bill.
Hiya. Bill Watson from Highton, Merseyside. Could you tell me what progress, if any, has been made in ensuring the co-op franchise employees enjoy at least the same pay, terms and conditions as group colleagues? And what is the group's view on some franchisees charging for ATM transactions?
Okay.
I couldn't actually hear the second part of
It was
the
about
question.
charging for ATM transactions.
Okay, all right. Look, I'll have to come back to you on charging for the ATM transactions, unless there's someone in the room who can answer that piece specifically.
It's not part of the franchise, so it's down to.
Okay, but do the other
so it's
piece.
down to the franchisee, and that's actually the answer for the other one as well. While we can make suggestions and recommendations, part of a franchise agreement is that they are responsible for setting their own prices and actually, paying their colleagues as appropriate. They are effectively, running those businesses.
So that's the answer, Bill. But I think in the process, we absolutely try and talk to the right franchisees who are going to be in line with the co-op principles, because that's exactly what we're trying to do, because we've got that name. So although it is obviously they're the franchisee, it's their decision. Clearly we part of our decision about who we franchise with is a big part of. Are they likely to fit in with our values and the way in which we look after people? That's a big slug of it. So it's a good raise, Bill. Let us have a bit of a think about that as well. We'll have a little think about that. Okay, cover 2 more. One down here and one at the back. There's there's another one at the back. No, just there. Move across. Yep, just there.
I've got the microphone.
Who's got the microphone? Okay, cool, right. So here first, yeah, go.
Hi, it's
Hi.
Ryan Day. I just wanted to ask a question. Obviously, we talk about hungry families. Obviously, with the cost of living is affecting everything with the prices of fuel, etc., going up. So what is the co-op doing to obviously monitor this for the teams, what work in the stores? Because obviously this could impact them. And obviously the colleagues are the key workers in the business, and obviously are they getting looked after? Are they getting monitored? Is the pay going to be monitored sort of twice yearly if the bills are going to go up again?
Good question, Ryan, thank you.
Ali, I'm looking at you. So certainly, we talked about colleague pay, we talked about moving up to the real living wage, and we talked about the pay increases that we have put in place for our colleagues. Ali, one of the first questions I asked you was, this cost of living crisis is going to hit our colleagues first. And we're looking specifically at what we can do in terms of food affordability and ensuring that they have access to food. It would be shameful to be a food business where our own colleagues can't afford, you know, the meals that they deserve to have. So that's something that, that we're working on right now at speed.
Okay. And you know, we take it very seriously. You know, it is a very, you know, what we all know is what we don't know. And, you know, this is going to go on for a period of time, but we don't know what the impact's going to be. We're just sort of looking at it on a day basis. We have to think about it as, you know, as we said, for our colleagues, for our members, for our customers. It's something that, you know, we talk about all the time. It's very important to us. At the back, in the red, orange.
Right, thanks. Yeah, the red orange is Ian Hewitt from Nottingham. And 32 years ago, I attended a constitutional convention at Manchester University with about 600 people, maybe more, maybe about 1,000, trying to deal with an elected dictatorship and a constitution that was unable to control an elected dictator called Mrs. Thatcher. So I'm quite interested in governance matters. Tony Benn spoke at that and various other people. I was just wondering whether Justine Greening had got a member mandate or were we witnessing greening washing? But the serious point about governance relates to the SAP system, which I understand, as I understand it, it's been noted, costs hundreds of millions of pounds. So it's a strategic investment that has cost a fortune, and as far as I can remember, has never been presented at the AGM in terms of what it was supposed to do, how much it was going to cost, how do we know whether it's been successful, how are the performance parameters of this fantastically expensive piece of technology going to be audited and presented to members, assuming that we've got a governance structure that, you know, includes members. And was it a wise idea to implement a huge, humongous computer system in the middle of a pandemic with all the Brexit uncertainties and with the prospect of an economic collapse following the pandemic, but now accentuated with the idea of some sort of global conflict, that's the word, yeah, conflict. Shouldn't have conflict but in a cooperative, but there is conflict out in the world. So it's the governance, it's the specifics of the SAP system. What was it about? How is it that it's only now been relayed to us? And doesn't this remind us of the £800 million in 2012 on a big computer system that the group put together that was never actually switched on? So are we repeating things, and should we learn lessons?
So good question. It is. So let's start with, you know, one of our big issues is our legacy systems. You know, we had not spent any money on our legacy systems for, I'd say, 15, 20 years. And therefore, that had to change. SAP is a well-known system used by thousands of retailers around the world and other businesses, and is known to be, and you heard today, which is why I got two people to talk about it, when you get it working, it's highly effective. And it enables us to have one system as opposed to 70 legacy systems. So it's an absolutely was the right thing to do and still is the right thing to do. And absolutely there are benefits when you get it done. The process is a very difficult one. It's a very unforgiving system, and you have to get all the practices and processes to go along on the back of it. So was it the right thing to do? Absolutely. Is there a governance structure around it? 100%. It's a board's decision with the executive where the money is spent. And that goes to, we have the audit committee here. All of those system changes, all of the investment go through investment proposals, they go through proposals, they go for return, and they're monitored on an ongoing basis. The issue is purely coincidental that SAP was in process. At the time, we didn't know there was going to be a pandemic. We were well on the route while we were doing that. And clearly, we didn't know that the supply chain issues were going to occur off the back of it. So, is it more difficult to be implementing SAP in that environment? Yes, but actually you just have to manage it. And I think what you've heard today is it's being managed, and that's the fundamental thing that we need to do. But we look after the members' money. Our view is very straightforward. All things have to produce a return, and all things are measured, and the role of the board and of the management is to make that happen. That's how it works. I think you're right to raise the point because there's been a lot of noise around it, but actually, you heard today, when SAP comes through, it'll make life easier for everybody, and more importantly, we'll be in the 20th century from a systems perspective, and more importantly, all the work around legacy systems, which you cannot imagine how difficult they are today and how they're all banded together with sellotape and string, will disappear. So it'll be a very good thing for us, and we expect to get significant advantages when it's done. It's been a bit more complicated and not helped by the fact there was a pandemic and a supply chain issue which were out of our control. But I have to say, our people have tried to manage their way around it in an incredible way. Should we have two more online ones?
Yeah. So first one from Amy Higgins, and both of these are cost of living related questions. So Amy's asking, in view of the cost of living crisis, what is the Co-op doing to help our colleague members who are being hit the hardest financially at the moment, and longer term to ensure a fairer world for everyone? And then a question from Rebecca Harvey, are there any plans to roll out similar initiatives to the colleague app Ucoin for lay members in the future?
Shereen?
I think we answered the question about colleagues, and that is something that we'll be coming back with very soon. So what was the second question?
Are there any plans to roll out similar initiatives to the colleague app Ucoin for lay members in future?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's one that someone going to say something?
What is Ucoin?
It's where you earn benefits for healthy lifestyle choices.
Oh, sorry. The answer then is
and it's specifically for members at the moment, and the costs are allocated against colleague and therefore colleague members rather than a rollout. I would count that as one of the choices we have to make in where we level our investments. But if we have a proof of concept, it might be something that could be a paid app.
Okay. Then I'll come back in here in a minute. So we also had some pre-submitted. Steve Carr asked us a very good one, actually, which is, as part of responding to the climate emergency by encouraging low-carbon travel shopping, by what date will every Co-op store that has a car park also have at least a couple of appropriately situated good quality bike stands? So I like that question. And the answer is, where we've got connected car parks, we are trying to introduce these bike racks because we think it's a pretty good thing to do. And we're also looking at e-bikes. Quite a lot of e-bikes floating around now. So we're trying to find where we own the site, where there's a car park. We're trying to put these bike racks in, and now we're trying to put e-bikes in. So it was a good reminder, Steve. Thank you for that.
Alan, for every new store that has the space, it's included by default.
Yep.
Bike racks are.
So we like bike racks, so we're for that. We don't like grey, we like blue, and we like bike racks. And then the other question, I'll perhaps come to this in a minute. Do two more. Have we got any more? I'm just trying. I want to get. I see the ones. Can we go to the? We've got a lot in the middle. They could do one down here, and I can't see. And then there's one just down. Oh, one on the top. Hand up on the top. Do those two. Okay. Shoot.
Mine is about probably three questions. One is you talked about digital online businesses. Well, it's a bit historical, this one, but 2 or 3 years ago, or probably less, you bought an app company with prescription things on it, and then you got rid of it because you said you weren't investing in it, which I find a bit odd, why I bought business immediately. I mean, Mid-County seem to run an online prescription service, so why can't you learn it from them, at least? The other thing is, I'm a bit worried about your answer to franchising. Because when the Co-op was sent up, it was all about members' control and members having their, say, democratic thing. If we're letting shops be run by private business people, we're not having a say, it's not under total members' control. It seems to hark back to the 70s idea we had by Sir Beaton Co-op movement. Let's half privatise the co-op by listing it on the stock exchange. You see how it worked. It never worked because in Germany the whole movement fell apart like that. So I'm a bit worried. And how far do you intend to go with franchising, if you do want franchising? And the other thing is, you talk about wholesaling niche a bit. Well, I have a niche store near me, not a co-op, unfortunately. And I have noticed, I do my shopping at the co-op, incidentally, but I do notice at the NISA store, there's less and less co-op products in the store. So this wholesaling business we're doing, we're not actually managing to sell as much co-op products in the store as we should be.
Okay, well, we'll pick those three up. Do you want to go in review?
So you spoke about the co-op health business. That, look, it was a digital business, but the truth is, to really make it work, we had to put a lot of investment into that in terms of dispensing and a lot of capital expenditure. And when you modeled that out and you looked at when it would start to pay back and when it would start to return, it was too far out. And we had other areas that would return much faster if we invested. Sorry, I can't hear you.
He said, did you thought that was an issue when we bought the business?
I wasn't here when we bought the business. I was here when we evaluated the payback. So I can take responsibility for selling it, but not buying it, I'm sorry. You know, in terms of franchise, the way that franchises work is you provide the franchisee with the business model, with the branding, with absolute guidance in terms of what they can do, but you cannot dictate how they run a business. The same goes for a McDonald's franchise. They are able to set their own prices, set their own wages, but they must work within the standards that we provide to them. And so we would run a franchise business in exactly that way. You asked if we plan to grow our franchise presence. Yes, we do, because it's a great way of expanding our presence. I can see Martin there nodding. It's a great way of expanding our presence, expanding our co-op reach, our co-op products and our co-op values, but at a much lower cost than buying new stores. And it's a great proposition for us.
Well, can I come back on that? Because when we start franchising, I know Southern Co-ops do it, and they picked that up from a Dutch co-op, which was a hybrid merge between what was left of a Dutch co-op and some private wholesale retailer. But it does worry me that if we go along this route, the co-op will not operate any shops because it will be so easy to let other people operate them. The members will have no control over any assets. It's a sort of backdoor privatisation for co-op. This is what worries me. You know, I mean, the members weren't consulted, as far as I'm aware, about franchising.
So let me finish.
Martin's mind to say something. Perhaps Martin should get a...
So just let me say that there is this, well, certainly there is no intention and never would be any intention of privatising this co-op, okay? Zero, -0. So let's move off that. That ain't going to happen. And franchising isn't the way of doing that. It's exactly what Shireen said, because we should be proud that our products and our offer and what we stand for can be in as many places as possible. We shouldn't restrict that. Cooperation is about making that happen, expanding that to as many locations as we possibly can. It pushes fair trade, it pushes our own brand, it does all of the things that we want to do, and it provides employment, often in areas where that employment doesn't exist. So, and it will never be the majority of our business, it'll be a small part of our business, because it reverts your other point. We've had the conversation. We've got to be selective of where we invest. When you open new stores, it's very expensive. And so if there is another way of coming at this that delivers everything in the community we want as cooperators, we should do it, and there's no doubt about that. To your last point on NISA, actually, the percentage and participation of co-op own brand in NISA is growing substantially. So I'm going to move on. Next question. Yeah.
Yes, Grant Wollstonecraft, member from Bolton. I have 3 points, and the general question is, what's the group's position on these? First of all, in the group elections, voting is done by about 1% to 2% of members. So how is that democracy or promoting diversity? Secondly, we've heard a lot about colleagues and the improvements being done for their position, which is good, very good. By colleagues, I think we mean employees, and it's not a workers' co-op, so can consumer members also be viewed as and treated as colleagues and receive appropriate benefits also? Thirdly, there was talk about inequality before. I live in a so-called red wall town, a left-behind area with deprived areas. It used to be a stronghold of consumer cooperation, literally tens of thousands of members. The group's now virtually disappeared from my town, not just in outlets, but in other ways as well, for the auxiliaries, for example, and members' meetings. So I appreciate you're telling us there are a lot of good things being done by the group at the moment, but in my town, a left-behind area, the group's hardly there now. Access to cooperation has disappeared for hundreds of thousands of people. So the general question is, what's the group's position on all these, please? All right, thank you.
Yeah, so in terms of the percentage of people voting and member participation, I agree with you. It's a very low number, and it's something that we need to work on increasing. We know that members who are active are great for our co-op, but they're also great in terms of being able to go out and promote cooperative values and principles and do good for our communities. So that is an active thing that we need to work on. It's on my agenda, and we need to proceed with that. In terms of consumer members receiving the same benefits as colleagues, all we can do is offer members the benefits that they would get as members. We cannot treat our members as employees for many, many reasons. What we can do is we can communicate member benefits, and we can provide access to our members to various things that we're doing in communities in order for them to be able to engage and get involved. The last point on the presence within your local community, I'm going to have to hand that off to someone else because we'll have to pick that up and follow up with you.
Yeah, if there was a great location for us in Bolton, we would definitely be there. I think the other thing is that you heard that, I think Ali talked about it, one of the things which the team are working on is how do we improve, if you're a member, you should get a better deal in whatever that means versus not being a non-member. And so we're looking at lots of different ways where we can target specific things for members, because members should, in my view, a member should be able to get a better interface with us than a non-member. And that's a piece of active work that we're onto now, which I think... Denise, you want to make a point on this? It'd be helpful.
Just on the voting side, I know council members are very, very concerned about it too, and they've made it a big priority about increasing democratic participation, because I know there are members within the cooperative movement and who are members here who feel strongly about that democratic voice. And so I know it's definitely a priority of the council members, and we'll be pushing that also as well.
And I agree with you, I'm in the same place. I think the other thing is, though, which I think we've seen, is the way in which members are interacting have changed significantly.
Yeah, absolutely.
The sort of member pioneer membership interaction, I think, is a phenomenal one. That didn't exist. There's lots of, and I think what we've got to do now, because we live in a different world, is we've got to find as many ways that we can interact with members as we possibly can that makes it really worthwhile for that member to interact.
Absolutely.
I mean, that is how do we make it really worthwhile for that member to interact. Russ, have you got a couple more? Okay.
I have no more questions.
Brilliant. And we'll take a couple more in here, and then we'll go to the vote. I'm conscious I think there's, I want to go one in the middle there, and then I'm trying to go to the right here. I was trying to equalise, I think. Okay, would you like to go first?
Yes, thank you. Robin from Ambleside. Now, a year ago, the group spent a lot of money upgrading our local store. Absolutely beautiful. I'm surprised because I've been nagging, moaning, complaining, cajoling for years.
That's maybe
to have
why it
done.
happened, but go on,
Right.
yeah.
Now, I've always believed, living in a holiday area, that we should prioritise stores in holiday areas so that people coming to visit from elsewhere will see what the co-op offers and how good it is. My sadness is, it is a sadness, it's probably a small complaint, and it is a complaint. We talk about the honest value food, and the only honest value food that I've ever identified in our store are some pretty doubtful cottage pies. I haven't seen anything else, not one thing. And yet when I went on holiday to our store in Silloth, sunny Silloth on the Solway coast, they were absolutely jam-packed with these wonderful, cheap items of grub. And I think they're quite good. I think we should have them. So my first question, and there are two, both about food, what is our policy for putting honest value products, particularly food, fresh food, whatever, into stores, perhaps smaller ones? And my second question, which rolls on from it, is that there was a comment from someone up on the top table about making visits and always finding plenty of products. Well, let me tell you that in the last 3 weeks, about the only place you could buy a cucumber, an orange, some strawberries, fresh stuff like that, is to go around to Tesco Express around the corner, which is absolutely groaning with stock. Now, of course, this isn't every day. Don't take me that seriously. But certainly on the fresh produce, on fruit, veg, it's been absolutely awful. And people come into our store, perhaps in the holiday camps, to buy something, and all they see, shelf after shelf after shelf of empty green containers. And I just think we need to look at that. And I suspect that perhaps when somebody from head office, let's call it head office, goes to visit a shop, I would like to ask, does the shop know they're coming? Is that why the shelves are always full? Thank you.
So the second part to your question is, no, they don't know they're coming. So that's there. I think on there should be no difference on our ranging, I would have thought, in Ambleside as opposed to anywhere else. So we'll pick that store specifically up and have a look at it.
Sorry, Alan, there is a difference in ranging in our stores, yeah. So basically we look at what people are buying and what our colleagues tell us the demand is, and that's basically how we range. I have to say that your complaint was the nicest complaint I've ever heard. You told us that we've got great honest value products, you want to get more of those, and you know we've got the people in the room who know which store you're talking about, and if that's the demand and if that's what we think is actually going to sell, then yes, they can make those changes for you. So thank you for bringing it up and for telling us how great our products are, because they absolutely are. In terms of the produce, what I've been hearing from our teams is that because we've had weather issues in Spain and other places where we get some of that produce, we've had some availability issues. You know, where Tesco's getting them from and, you know, how they're managing to stock their shelves, that's something we'll have to look at and, you know, determine. But certainly what I've been hearing from Matt and his team is it's been very difficult because of weather issues to get some of that produce in, and they're actively working on that. And just one thing to tell you about the shelves being stocked. So I did some visits. I just dropped in randomly to a number of stores, and I saw that stock increasing. Then I had some planned visits, and everything looked very polished and beautiful. And something I want to pick up with our teams is I don't want them wasting time tidying things up and making the stores look beautiful for me. I want them to focus on our customers and our colleagues. So that's my next visit that's planned. I will be specifically asking that they don't waste time on me, and that they waste time. They spend time on their customers and their colleagues. We do not waste time on customers and colleagues. Yeah.
And I always go unannounced. So, good. Okay. I think I just want to raise one other question that was sort of raised, and you've probably seen it outside as well, which is about the chickens basically. You saw the group outside. I went and spoke to them. I think if people come and they want to express an opinion, then it's important to go and listen to their opinion directly. They were really nice people, very polite, talked about what they, their view of things. We do a lot of work on chickens, and we think our welfare standards are very, very high. We've done some piloting around some of the things that they are talking about. And what I've asked them to do is I gave them my personal email. I asked them to send me the data that they've got. And then I said we would look at their data in the same way we look at our own data. Again, I don't want you to think that we're moving away from that, but I have to say, they're very passionate about what they believe in, and they were very, very, very nice and respectful and deserve listening to for that purpose. So we will pick that up. I think we've got one. We'll do one more question, and then we probably. Did I see? I'm sure there was. Didn't we go? Where are we? I can't see. Somebody point
Hello,
who's got the microphone. Good. Okay. Right. Shoot.
Good afternoon. Jane Avery, member from Leicestershire and also a member of Central England Co-op. I was interested in Caboodle and the solutions for food poverty. It's shameful that we're talking about child hunger in this country. But at the retail conference, a solution was proposed from a cooperative solution via Kangaroo. And I wondered whether the board at Group were talking to Kangaroo because it's a dignified way of addressing food poverty where people don't have to announce that they're so poor that they get a bag of free or cheap food or visit a food bank. They are treated like members, like customers, because that's what they are. So I'd be interested if the group was going to open a dialogue with them to look at that as a solution. Thank you.
That sounds like something really fantastic. Now, Michael is not nodding his head at me to say that we have approached them, but he's heard about it now, and we can certainly follow up.
So we'll pick that. Michael, shaking it, you're saying we have touched
Yeah, I'm just trying to see who asked the question, to be honest.
Jane.
We'll just connect.
Find them afterwards.
There she is up there.
There you are. I'll come and say hello in a minute.
Just connect. Okay. Good. Okay, well, I think what we should do is move on to the voting as we're getting towards 1:45. So let's do that. So we've got to do a bit of a test, as always. So let's how we go. So we've got those electronic hand things, which we always have. So if you've got those, that would be awesome, never mind awesome. We need to check that that it works. This is always the dangerous bit. If you didn't get a terminal and you feel you should have one, you need to go to registration desk. So can we just test this then? So I'm going to ask a test question. Is a test question going to come up on there? Oh, God. Questions. Well, will Manchester United, it's probably a pretty open question, but will Manchester United beat Crystal Palace tomorrow? 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for withheld. And they said that if you press the wrong button or change your mind, you can choose an alternative answer before the vote is closed. It'll just do the last choice. So can we just try this then? So shall we vote now? Right. What happened? It's obviously touch and go. It normally says it takes some time, but anybody on this? Is this means the test's not working, or? Oh, here we go.
What happened?
Oh. 2/3, a third. We'll see. Good. So it'll take a few seconds, so we need to be aware of this. So we've got the scrutineers here as before. So we've got CIVI Civica, whatever the cause. They're going to do scrutinise the results. All the votes from the members have already been voted online, but they're added to the votes cast in the meeting, and then we'll get the results up. So they're all in a poll vote, and it's a very simple, majority move or not. So motion 1 is to receive the annual report and accounts to the end of January 2022. And so can you ask the meeting to receive the annual report and accounts for the period ending 1 January 22, 1 for, 2 against, 3 withheld. So voting is now closed. Results will be shown on the screen. Simple majority. Okay, so passed. The passed 9824 to 176. Thank you very much. Motion 2 is to approve the Director of Remuneration report. And again, it's 142 against, 3 withheld. So if we can do that. Voting is now closed and the results will show on the screen behind me. Again, it's a simple majority. So passed 8825 to 1175. Thank you very much. Motion 3 is the executive pay policy. Same process, 142 against, 3 withheld. So we got 5 seconds to vote. Voting is now closed and results will be shown. Again, a simple majority, 83-16, so that's passed. Thank you very much. Motion 4 is the sustainability report. I'm really proud of this. This is the first time we've sent this to you. It was from our members at our AGM. We worked with the council. You know, you heard. You know, we're leading the way in this, which is something we should be really, really proud of. So I'm really pleased that this is a motion. So if we can vote to support, I'm not allowed to say vote to support. If you can vote and give us your vote, 142 against, 3 withheld, that'd be awesome. Voting's now closed. Results shown on the screen behind me. Yes, 9808, 192. Okay, right. Thank you. That's passed. Then I think you. Well, I think you have to, Chris. You have to do this because I'm next. I think.
Yeah, because Alan can't do this. I'm asking people to vote on re-electing Alan Leighton as an independent non-executive director, same as before. 1 for, 2 against, 3 withheld.
The weight's even worse when it's you.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Very relieved by the result.
Thank you.
Well done.
Motion 6 to re-elect Sir Christopher Kelly as an independent non-exec director, and of course he's also the SID. So 142 against, 3 withheld. 5 seconds is up. Voting is now closed. Results show on the screen behind me. Brilliant. Again, thank you, Chris. Passed. Motion 7 to re-elect Rahul Power as an independent non-executive director. 1 for, 2 against, 3 withheld. If we can vote. Voting is now closed on this motion. Results will be shown on screen behind me. Okay, passed. Thank you. Well done. Motion 8 is to approve the appointment of the auditors, EY. So again, 142 against, 3 withheld. Vote is now closed on this motion. The result will be shown on screen behind me. That's good. Thank you. Passed. Thank you very much. On motion 9 is a joint motion from the board and the council on particular donations. This was the point that was raised earlier, set out in the notice of the meeting. ask the meeting to vote. So 142 against, 3 withheld. If we can vote for that. Votes closed on the motion. Results shown on the screen behind me. Okay, so the motion's passed in the mix, and it's important that these things go to the members. And motion 10, which is a motion from council on member participation, again 142 against, 3 withheld. Voting is now closed on this motion. Results shown on the screen behind me. It's passed. Thank you very much. Very good motion. And then motion 11, which is the motion from the Council on Inequality. For me, really important motion. So 142 against, 3 withheld. Voting is now closed. Results shown on the screen behind me. Good, passed, 96, 94, 306, thank you. And then motion 12, again, important motion from the Council on Climate Change. 142 against, 3 withheld. Voting is now closed on this motion. The results will be shown on the screen behind me. Brilliant. Good. Thank you very much. Again, passed. So I think that takes us through all of the motions, all that are passed. So thank you for your participation. We're sort of close up now. I mean, 2 things, or 3 things I'd like to say. First of all, just thanks to everybody. The power of this organisation is it is a cooperative, and that is run and owned by its members. And we take that very seriously. You can see in this, particularly in all the things that are to do with social interaction, I think there's lots of things we should be really proud of. And there are lots of things coming that we should be really proud of. Clearly, from a commercial perspective, particularly the second half of last year was tougher than we expected or wanted. But I'm very confident, having seen and obviously working alongside Shireen and the team as to the things that we've been doing to address that, that is being addressed in a really positive way, and I'm very confident about the output of that. And I'm particularly pleased, I have to say, on the progress on SAP and availability in recent times, so I think that's made a huge difference to where we are. I hope you found it very useful to see, often people think that the management team is 2 or 3 people. Ours is much wider than that. And one of the things we wanted to do was to showcase the management we've got. It's highly capable, it's highly diverse, and we're really proud of all of our people. And the leadership group that you saw are doing an amazing amount of work at the moment, and to keep on top of things. Clearly, it's very uncertain times. I see it everywhere, and the next 6 months, the one thing we don't know is we don't know. And so the next 6 months, I think, will be volatile. And I hope when we get past that stage, we'll have a bit more idea of what the future holds. I think, personally, and I will say this, and I think I probably talk on behalf of all of us, I see what happens in the Ukraine. It is terrible. And I think, the Ukrainian people and Zelensky and everybody, we should be really proud of what they're trying to do. Because, we hear these towns, these are like the same towns as we would call Ipswich, Nottingham, Colchester, and so, I think certainly my heart's with them, and let's hope. One of my friends yesterday had a family, a grandma, mother and daughter all come to live with him. And, they had to travel 200 miles to get to Kyiv, to get out, to then get over here, and you just think about that. And often the things we talk about as context for that is, that you can't imagine what it would be like. But anyway, I think we're really good at that. We've raised an amazing amount of money in a relatively short time, and we try and do lots of other things. So, and that's what co-ops do, and that's what members are here to do. So thank you very much for your time. Thanks for all your support, and thanks for your questions. Even though sometimes we're put on the sword, that's what we're here to do, and that's what you're there to do with us. So thank you, and have a safe trip home. Thank you very much.